Chapter 8:13. After dispersing his ancient devil image, Ning Fan descended to the ground and slowly retracted his surging aura force. The ancient devil's increase in cultivation was extremely beneficial to him. To the current Ning Fan, magic power and body power were no longer two distinct types of power. Previously, when he slashed at Yuan Kuang with his sword, he had used two completely different types of energy, essence qi and magic power. This was something that not every cultivator who cultivated both body and essence could accomplish. However, to Ning Fan, who had already opened the gate of heavenly being, it was naturally not difficult for him to achieve this. After a few more days of seclusion in the human tomb, he finally managed to slightly stabilize his ancient devil cultivation base. Ning Fan didn't leave the grave palace immediately. He stood up and stood in the empty grave palace with his eyes closed. His mind was completely immersed into the yin-yang locket, quietly sensing it. No one knew what he was sensing. No one knew that with the help of the yin-yang locket, he sensed a trace of the ancient chaos aura from the bottom of the god of tomb. That aura seemed to be calling him, guiding him, waiting for him. At this place, Ning Fan felt even more strongly that the yin-yang locket was missing something, longing to be repaired. This trace of qi came from the lower level of the divine tomb. Is it pointing to the other half of the inheritance of the ancient Chaos Great Emperor, Chaos Loop Art? Ning Fan walked out of the palace tomb and looked at the oval door of light that led to the fourth floor from afar. His eyes narrowed. The oval-shaped door of light on the fourth floor was different from the previous floors. It contained a strand of Divine Void Realm Great Emperor's divine sense. Only Divine Void Realm cultivators could enter it. If you want to obtain the inheritance, you must first become the tomb keeper of the Luo clan. Ning Fan withdrew his gaze and finally soared into the sky. He turned into a long rainbow and flew away from the divine tomb, speeding through the starry sky. He stepped into the sky and traversed the void, but his eyes gradually showed a hint of determination. Now that he was not a tomb watcher, he could not enter the bottom of the god of tomb to find the inheritance of ancient chaos. He could only put this matter aside for now. However, no matter what, he had to obtain the other half of the ancient Chaos Martial Emperor's inheritance. It was because the two words, ancient chaos, meant too much to him. It had accompanied him all the way till now. That year, he obtained the yin-yang locket from Jihe. That year, he met the old devil for the first time. Without any fear, he threw a lock at the old devil's head. In the past, the two words ancient chaos to him was just a form of dual cultivation. Unknowingly, the meaning of these two words had already changed. His heart was gradually filled with gratitude and remembrance toward the primordial chaos martial monarch. He was determined to obtain the other half of ancient chaos inheritance. After flying all the way back to Heavenly Sea Star, Ning Fan went straight to the Battle Crystal Palace in Purple Silk City. When he left, he bought a large number of low-tier and mid-tier battle crystals. Along with the remaining battle crystals, he placed them all in the cave on Broken Halberd Peak. Inside the cave, Ning Fan sat cross-legged on a cushion with his eyes closed. His mind was gradually immersed in the battle intent of the Broken Halberd Mountain. His mind seemed to have returned to countless years ago, to the savage battlefield of the Divine Fiend realm. It was as though he could hear the roars of countless cultivators and demons that were filled with boundless battle intent approaching from afar. 3 scarlet flames were circling around his body. A vortex gradually appeared in his body. As the vortex rotated, sparks of battle intent appeared. At this moment, Ning Fan's mind had almost completely merged with the first peak of the Broken Halberd. Without any hesitation, Ning Fan summoned Ghost Face without hesitation. He raised his hand and grabbed pieces of battle crystals, swallowed them and refined them with all his might. He extracted his battle intent and condensed the flames of war. Just like that, he cultivated for 3 whole months. 3 months later, Ning Fan once again reached the upper limit of battle crystals. Currently, the number of flames of battle intent circling around his body had increased to 6. To be precise, it was only the 10th month since he came to the Luo clan. In just 10 months, he had condensed 6 flames of war. This kind of cultivation speed was the best in the Luo clan. No one could compare to him except for the former battle king Luo Ho. I still need 3 more flames of war. Do I need to fight again? Ning Fan's eyes flashed. He withdrew the flames of war into his body and pondered for a while. Previously, when he went to the divine tomb and challenged the stone devil heavenly tomb, the 4 heavenly tombs on the 3rd floor were in a dormant state. They would not open again for at least 10 years. To him, the 1st and 2nd floors were restricted by his cultivation base. He could not enter them. As for the 4th floor and below, they were restricted by identity. He could only enter after becoming a tomb keeper. This time, it's useless to go to the divine tomb if I want to fight again. Other than the divine tomb, I wonder where else in the eastern Ming country can I find a suitable opponent for me to fight with all my strength. Ning Fan kept the remaining battle crystals and pondered in silence. While he was deep in thought, he suddenly frowned and raised his hand to grab something in front of him. In that direction, a sound-transmitting spiritual talisman directly flew into Ning Fan's cave residence's formation. The moment the talisman entered Ning Fan's hand, it immediately combusted without any fire. At the same time, a slightly arrogant voice of an old man was heard. "Junior, stop your cultivation now and get out of the cave residence. Come to the peak of the 2nd peak of the Broken Halberd Mountain and fight with me." Even though this voice was not at the early True Crossing realm, it had the aura force of an early True Crossing realm cultivator. This person was at the same Life Immortal realm as Ning Fan, but he addressed a Life Immortal realm cultivator as a junior instead of a fellow Taoist. Obviously, he was a person who thought highly of himself. Seeking a battle? That's exactly what I wanted. However, this person's tone is a little too arrogant. Ning Fan frowned slightly. He walked out of the cave residence and leaped into the air, reaching the peak of the 2nd peak in the blink of an eye. On the peak of the 2nd peak, a white-haired old man with strong muscles was standing with his hands clasped behind his back. With Ning Fan's eyesight, he could tell that this person was a peak ghost profound realm cultivator at first glance. Even though his cultivation base was at the peak of the ghost profound realm, his body refinement realm was not weak either. It had already reached the 5th severance of the immortal body refinement realm. With the dual cultivation of body and essence, his aura force was comparable to that of the stone devil in the stone devil heavenly tomb. It was just enough for Ning Fan to fight and stabilize the flames of war. "You are the guest elder recommended by Luo Shao? Do you know the rules of my Broken Halberd Mountain?" The old man said arrogantly. Sensing Ning Fan's mid-ghost profound realm chi, the old man was slightly displeased. Isn't mid-ghost profound realm a little too weak? Has this young man really defeated Luo Shao before? The reason why he sought this young man for a battle was to seek a breakthrough. The rules of the Broken Halberd Mountain? May I know what are the rules of this Broken Halberd Mountain? Ning Fan asked expressionlessly. You have just become a guest elder of the Luo clan for less than 10 months. It's not strange that you don't know the rules of the Broken Halberd Mountain. We, the guest elders of the Luo clan, live in the 3 peaks of the Broken Halberd Mountain. There is an unwritten rule here. If the cultivators of the 3rd peak cultivate to the upper limit of the crystals, they can seek a battle from the cultivators of the 2nd peak and the 1st peak to stabilize the flames of war. The other party must not refuse. No matter if the other party is at a critical juncture in their cultivation, they must accept the challenge unconditionally. Naturally, the cultivators of the 2nd peak also have the right to seek a battle from the cultivators of the 1st peak. As for the cultivators of the 1st peak, they don't have any rights at all. I, Wang Meng, am a cultivator of the 2nd peak. As for you, you are just a cultivator of the 1st peak. As he said this, the old man named Wang Meng's face suddenly revealed a hint of arrogance. The way he looked at Ning Fan was filled with slight contempt. All the guest elders of the Luo clan lived in the 3 peaks of the Broken Halberd Mountain. Those who cultivated in seclusion on the 1st peak were the guest elders of the Luo clan who had yet to cultivate to the 1st transformation. Most of them were at the Mortal Profound Realm, while only a few of them were at the Ghost Profound Realm. Those who cultivated in seclusion on the 2nd peak were the guest elders who had cultivated to the 1st transformation. Most of them were at the Ghost Profound Realm. As for those who cultivated in seclusion on the third peak, they were all guest elders who had cultivated to the second transformation. There were only 3 of them. All of them were early True Crossing Realm cultivators. There was an unwritten rule among the guest elders of the Broken Halberd Mountain. The cultivators who cultivated to the High Transformation Realm had the right to let the cultivators of the Low Transformation Realm spar with them. The Luo clan had also tacitly agreed to this rule. Previously, when Ning Fan asked Luo Xiao where he could seek a battle, Luo Xiao thought that Ning Fan had yet to cultivate to the first transformation. Thus, he did not tell him about this rule and only told him about the Divine Tomb. There are originally only 4 Ghost Profound Realm cultivators on the first peak. Including you, there are 5 of us. The other 4 Ghost Profound Realm cultivators have already fought with me countless times. As for you, it's your first time. Don't be afraid. I will naturally show mercy when I fight with you. Wang Meng clenched his fists so hard that his knuckles made cracking sounds. The way he looked at Ning Fan carried a hint of contempt. Ning Fan had experienced this kind of contempt many times in the Luo clan. All of a sudden, Wang Meng's eyes changed. His eyes were filled with monstrous battle intent. The corners of his mouth curved into a cold smile. To him, as long as he didn't kill his opponent, even if he destroyed his opponent's physical body and left only his primordial spirit, it could also be considered as showing mercy. An aura force that was close to the Dujin realm spread out from Wang Meng's body once again. It spread across the 3 peaks of the Broken Halberd and even the entire Violet Silk City. It's Wang Meng again? Is he looking for a cultivator of the first peak to fight with him again? I wonder which unlucky fellow he is looking for this time. I remember that the last time was 15 years ago. He was looking for Meng Xiu of the first peak. Both of them were at the peak of the Ghost Profound Realm, but he actually suppressed Meng Xiu and destroyed half of his physical body. In the cave of the second peak, many cultivators sent out their spirit sense and scanned the peak of the mountain. When they found that the person standing opposite of Wang Meng was Ning Fan, they were stunned. Isn't this person the one recommended by Luo Xiao? Putting aside whether this person's aptitude in cultivating battle techniques, his cultivation base alone is much weaker than Wang Meng's. This person probably can't withstand a single blow from Wang Meng. I'm afraid that he will be completely destroyed by Wang Meng if he's not careful. Not only the cultivators of the second peak, but also the cultivators of the first peak also spread out their spirit sense and scanned the peak of the second peak. Many of the cultivators of the first peak had suffered in Wang Meng's hands before. Therefore, when they first sensed Wang Meng's aura force, they felt a lingering fear in their hearts. They were afraid that they would be challenged by Wang Meng again. However, when they found out that Wang Meng had already found Ning Fan to fight, they heaved a sigh of relief. Many of them were gloating over Wang Meng's misfortune. With this person in front of us, we won't have to worry anymore. On the first peak, only Meng Xiu, who was at the peak of the Ghost Profound Realm, had a solemn look on his face. At this moment, he was holding the self-made war fire compass in his hand. He was casting an incantation to sense something. There were already 6 faint traces of fire flickering on the compass, 6 traces of war fire. Last time, this person only had 3 traces of war fire. This time, he has already cultivated to 6 traces of war fire. After recovering from his shock, Meng Xiu kept the compass and sighed. This Ning Fan's aptitude in cultivating the war god art is definitely the best in the Luo clan. However, his cultivation base is just at the mid-Ghost Profound Realm after all. I'm afraid he won't be able to defeat Wang Meng. Wang Meng's physique is one of the 5 types of combat bodies. With the help of the first transformation of the war god, he is almost invincible among the Ghost Profound Realm experts. Moreover, he is highly valued by some old monsters of the Luo clan. Meng Xiu's eyes flashed with anger when he thought of the time when Wang Meng destroyed half of his physical body. However, when he thought of Wang Meng's strength and the few Duzhen of the Luo clan behind him, Meng Xiu immediately let out a sigh and closed his eyes. He did not continue to pay attention to the battle between Ning Fan and Wang Meng. In his opinion, there was almost no suspense in the outcome of this battle. In the Purple Silk City, Many cultivators of the Luo clan spread out their spirit sense to observe Wang Meng's every move. There were even a few Duzhen of the Luo clan who were in seclusion. However, the moment they sensed the battle, they all came out of seclusion and paid great attention to Wang Meng. Is it Wang Meng again? This person is the only person who possesses the combat body that our Luo clan has found so far. Even though he is the weakest of the 5 types of combat bodies, it is still extremely rare. This person is already not far away from attaining the second transformation of his combat art. Even though the possibility of him attaining the 4th transformation within 100 years is slim, it is much higher than the other foreign retainers. Compared to this, the life and death of the foreign retainer who is fighting against him are not that important. A few Duzhen thought. In the entire Purple Silk City, almost none of the cultivators who were paying attention to this battle thought that Ning Fan could defeat Wang Meng. Only Luo Xiao, who introduced him to the Luo clan, had great confidence in him. There was another person who also had great confidence in him. She was the young lord of the Luo clan, Luo Xian. At this moment, Luo Xian was leaning against a green vine tree in the Purple Silk City. She spread out her spirit sense to observe the situation on the second peak. Originally, she just wanted to pay attention to Wang Meng. However, when she saw the appearance of the white-robed cultivator opposite Wang Meng, her beautiful eyes immediately widened in shock. It's him. The person from the Heavenly Eye Star Trading Pavilion. He is actually the foreign retainer that Luo Xiao introduced. In the past, Luo Xian had never paid attention to this person after she heard that the person Luo Xiao recommended was not the possessor of the combat body. She certainly did not expect that the person she met in the Heavenly Eye Star that day would be the same person that Luo Xiao recommended. This time, I'm afraid Wang Meng is going to suffer a loss. Luo Xian thought to herself. Suddenly, she took out the piece of white cloth that she picked up that day and frowned. Then she untied it. It can't be him. This person appeared in the Heavenly Eye Star and the Heavenly Sea Star one after another. The giant pit also appeared one after another. This should just be a coincidence. No matter how strong he is, it's impossible for him to display the escaping light of the 10,000 ancient realm. On the second peak of the Broken Halberd Mountain, countless spirit sense swept past Ning Fan and then moved away. Ning Fan's brows were tightly knitted together. This was the first time he received the attention of so many cultivators of the Luo clan. However, this attention did not originate from the fact that they valued him. Wang Meng's aura force became stronger and stronger. His eyes also became sharper and sharper. Junior, I'm going to attack now. You must be careful not to die under this old man's fist light. If you want to blame someone, blame the rules of the Broken Halberd Mountain. It's not up to the cultivators of the first peak to say no to us cultivators of the second peak. Wang Meng laughed. His cloudy eyes were filled with confidence. The strong muscles on his body emitted explosive energy. He raised his hand and the runes of the false devil talisman swam on his arm. Then his entire right arm petrified and was covered with layers of stone skin. This Wang Meng was also a false ancient devil realm cultivator. The tip of Wang Meng's foot touched the ground. A huge force immediately spread across the entire second peak. Mountain rocks rolled down crazily and the entire second peak turned into a cloud of dust. Using the tip of his foot, Wang Meng's body immediately turned into an afterimage and dashed towards Ning Fan. A punch landed. Countless cultivators held their breaths when they saw this punch. Wang Meng's punch actually contained a trace of essence qi and magic power. The strength of this punch was infinitely close to the strength of Du Zhen's attack. No one thought that Ning Fan would be able to take this punch head-on, especially Wang Meng. He was extremely confident in his punch. Facing Wang Meng's attack, he did not retreat. Instead, he advanced. On his arm, there were also devil talisman runes covering his entire arm bit by bit. Those runes were ancestral talismans. His eyes turned solemn. All of a sudden, his body erupted with an earth-shattering ancient devil aura force. He threw a punch at Wang Meng's fist light. His mouth was filled with disdain as if he was muttering to himself. The rules of Broken Halberd Mountain can't restrict me. You are also not my opponent. Ning Fan's essence chi scattered wildly as he threw this punch. It was as if he was going to suppress the entire heaven and earth. A trace of devil sense flashed across his eyes. Then, devil chi spread across the entire heaven and earth as if the entire heaven and earth could not withstand the fists of a real ancient devil. He was the real ancient devil. Unfortunately, no one could see through this. In the eyes of the world, he was just a false ancient devil. However, this punch was destined to overturn all of the Luo clan's underestimation of him. At this moment, the expressions of all the cultivators who believed that Wang Meng would win easily changed greatly. Under the attack of Ning Fan's ancient devil fist light, an unimaginable destructive force heavily smashed on Wang Meng's body like heaven and earth. At this moment, Wang Meng's petrified arm was peeled off crazily. The false devil talisman runes on his arm were scattered by Ning Fan's punch, revealing faint fear. Wang Meng did not even have the time to put up any defense. He was already sent flying like a meteor. His body was in unbearable pain. Injuries appeared on his limbs and bones. Every time he flew a certain distance, he would spurt out a large amount of blood. At this moment, there was no longer any arrogance in his expression. It was completely replaced by shock. Under this destructive force, the entire sky was trembling. It was as if there was only Ning Fan's fist light that reverberated between heaven and earth. The sharpness of this fist light was unstoppable unless one was a true cultivator of the Dujin realm. This young man is obviously just at the mid-ghost profound realm. How could he be so strong? In the extreme cold palace, the sixth ancestor of the Luo clan who had never opened his eyes in front of Ning Fan opened his eyes in shock for the first time. His eyes were filled with unconcealable shock. He had never seen a mid-ghost profound realm cultivator as strong as Ning Fan in his entire life. Ning Fan could deliver such a powerful punch. What shocked him the most was the essence chi and aura force on Ning Fan's body. The sixth ancestor of the Luo clan was also a false ancient devil cultivator. He was strong enough to look down on ordinary body refinement cultivators. However, under Ning Fan's devil might, the false devil talisman in his body actually showed signs of instability. Chapter 8:14. Wang Meng was sent flying by Ning Fan's punch. He coughed out blood and managed to stabilize himself with great difficulty. However, he was already heavily injured. He stood in the sky with his hand on his chest and looked at Ning Fan who was standing on the peak below. His eyes were filled with fear and dread. He originally came to the first peak to seek a battle. However, he did not expect to be defeated by Ning Fan's punches in the first round. Even though he was extremely arrogant, he knew that Ning Fan was much stronger than him. If they continue to fight, he would probably suffer a greater loss. Humph! Your abilities are amazing. I'm ashamed of my inferiority. Farewell. Wang Meng's expression darkened. He turned around and wanted to return to his cave residence to heal his injuries. Ning Fan leaped and appeared in the sky, blocking Wang Meng's path and said coldly, "You may have had enough, but I haven't. This battle was started by you, but it's not up to you to stop it. I'll give you a chance. Show me all your abilities and fight me." Devil intent flashed in Ning Fan's eyes. His tone seemed to be influenced by the devil intent of the ancient devil. It carried a disdainful aura and a domineering aura that could not be rejected. Wang Meng did not show any mercy when he attacked just now. This could not be hidden from Ning Fan's eyes. If Ning Fan was really an ordinary ghost profound realm expert, he would probably be heavily injured by Wang Meng's punch. Since the other party was ruthless, Ning Fan naturally would not show any mercy. As a foreign elder of the Luo clan, Ning Fan would not go so far as to kill Wang Meng. However, it was suitable to use this person to stabilize the flames of war. There was no need to show mercy to this person. It was fine as long as he did not kill him. After all, this person was ruthless first. Ning Fan would only be 100 times more ruthless. Moreover, Ning Fan wanted to use this battle to establish his prestige in the Luo clan. If the Luo clan only looked down on him, he would not mind if they ignored him. However, what he disliked was that Wang Meng used the rules of the Luo clan to suppress him and force him to fight. He did not like people who used their power to suppress others. Moreover, it was Wang Meng who came today. There might be others who would come tomorrow. Instead of being challenged every day, it was better to shut everyone up once and for all. Wang Meng's expression changed after hearing this. His eyes turned gloomy and he sneered. How arrogant of you! Do you know that according to the rules of the Broken Halberd Peak, with your identity as a disciple of the first peak? Before Wang Meng could finish his words, his expression suddenly changed. Without saying anything, he raised his hand and shot out a black light. Ning Fan did not care about Wang Meng's words at all. He directly launched another punch at Wang Meng with a tremendous force. To Ning Fan, the rules of Broken Halberd Peak were not enough to restrain him. The chi of the fist seemed as if it. The fist Wang Heaven Fan's fist. Meng Tian Heaven and the family. And Wang Meng's. Wang fans up with it. And Wang fans he, Wang fans s Wang and up. Wang fan, Meng Fu Sun he fan, Shen Wang Men's Shan, fan, and he and suddenly appeared. The Siem, he and the Sun he Meng's it. The shield was extremely powerful. It had helped Wang Meng block all attacks from the True Crossing realm and saved his life many times. However, under Ning Fan's punch, the black flame iron wall that was transformed from the shield immediately trembled violently and burst into countless fragments. The aftershock of the fist Wang Meng's fist immediately rushed towards Wang Meng. How dare you! How dare you disregard the rules of the Broken Halberd Peak and attack me without my permission? Wang Meng was infuriated. He had to admit that Ning Fan's strength was much stronger than his. However, he was a combat body cultivator and a distinguished guest of the Luo clan. He was highly valued by the Luo clan. He was used to being arrogant. He had never been treated like this before. Ning Fan had disregarded the rules of the Broken Halberd Peak and attacked him. He even destroyed his shield. Wang Meng was infuriated. Wang Meng shouted. His old eyes glared at Ning Fan. Suddenly, his eyes were burning with the flames of war. His white hair turned blood red in an instant and grew longer at a crazy speed. His muscles that were originally strong became even thicker. His physical body had also grown twice its size in an instant. Green veins bulged on his forehead. His physical body, which was originally at the fifth severance of the immortal body realm, was now emitting an aura force that was close to the seventh severance of the immortal body realm. This change was because Wang Meng had used the first transformation of the battle art. After using the secret technique, Wang Meng's aura force was almost as strong as Du Zhen's. He raised his hand and punched, dispersing the aftershock of Ning Fan's fist. He was so angry that he laughed and rushed towards Ning Fan. The fear he had towards Ning Fan had completely disappeared after he used the war god art. His eyes were filled with raging battle intent. This was also the effect of the war god art. Risking one's life. Let this old man teach you the meaning of rules. Wang Meng let out a devil roar. Suddenly, 6 thick arms grew out from his back. He had 8 arms in total, making him look like a devil god. He took a step forward and threw out 8 punches at the same time. His punches were like a rainstorm. Immediately, the devil shadow of an 8-armed devil god appeared between heaven and earth. 8 extremities combat physique. Countless cultivators in the Luo clan exclaimed in surprise, revealing the name of Wang Meng's ability. A devil light flashed in Ning Fan's eyes. The ancestral talisman devil marks on his arms wriggled again and spread to his entire body, covering it instantly. Then he waved his hand. A tremendous force that seemed to be able to hold up the entire heaven and earth turned into a huge devil hand that slammed down on Wang Meng. Wang Meng's 8 extremities fist rain was immediately dispersed by Ning Fan's palm. The sound of the fist light being destroyed reverberated in the sky. An enormous force once again smashed onto his chest. In an instant, Wang Meng's face was filled with shock. In the next moment, he felt a sharp pain assault him, and his body was involuntarily sent flying like a kite with its string cut. A crack also appeared on the shadow of the 8-armed devil god behind him. But strangely enough, his body did not suffer any injuries this time. Even so, Wang Meng was still frightened. Ning Fan's palm had once again destroyed the little bit of battle intent that he had just gathered. 8 Extremities Combat Physique. His battle shadow is indestructible and his physical body is unharmed. It's a mysterious physique. Unfortunately, the person who possesses it is too weak. Ning Fan suddenly raised his hand and grabbed Wang Meng across the sky. The devil light immediately turned into a huge hand. It grabbed and pulled Wang Meng towards the blood-red mountain that was far away. The force of the smash immediately raised a few mountains to the ground and turned them into ruins. Wang Meng was smashed into a mess. Even though he was not injured, the cracks on the shadow of the devil god behind him increased again. Before he could get up from the ruins, Ning Fan clawed down with his 5 fingers again. Immediately, another huge devil light claw appeared and dragged Wang Meng into the sky. Then, Wang Meng was smashed into the ground with all his strength. Under the repeated collisions, the mountains were instantly destroyed. The tremendous force of the collisions landed on Wang Meng's body. Even though he was not injured, cracks kept appearing on his 8-armed battle shadow. After more than 10 collisions, the shadow of the 8-armed devil god could no longer withstand Wang Meng's injuries. With a loud bang, it shattered into countless shadows and vanished. However, Ning Fan did not stop there. He kept smashing Wang Meng to the ground. Every time he smashed his body, Wang Meng's bones and tendons would be broken and he would spurt out blood. As for the 6 flames of war in his body, they were gradually stabilizing. The ground kept shaking and the mountains kept crumbling. The hearts of the cultivators in the area also tightened as Wang Meng was smashed into the ground again and again. When they looked at Ning Fan again, their expressions kept changing. At this moment, Wang Meng had almost turned into a bloody man. Due to his severe injuries, he had no choice but to withdraw from the first transformation. At this moment, there was no longer any arrogance in his eyes. There was only fear and he kept begging for mercy. "Stop smashing! Stop smashing! Fellow Taoist, please have mercy, please have mercy. It's my fault. I shouldn't have disturbed your seclusion and forced you to fight me. Do you want the Tao crystals? I'm willing to compensate you with 3 billion Tao crystals. This is all this old man has right now. Fellow Taoist can have it. I just hope that you can let me go. I'll call you Grandpa. I'll call you Grandpa, all right? If fellow Taoist continues to smash me like this, I'm going to die here. I'm willing to be fellow Taoist's slave for 100 years. 1,000 years. A lifetime. Fellow Taoist, please stop. Stop it." At this moment, Wang Meng was really afraid of Ning Fan. In order to beg for mercy, he almost said everything he could. Ning Fan did not care about Wang Meng's begging. Suddenly, his eyes flashed with surprise and he looked at Purple Silk City thoughtfully. After a while, Ning Fan's eyes flashed and he finally stopped attacking Wang Meng. His body descended and landed in the middle of the rubble. He indifferently glanced at Wang Meng, who was like a pile of mud. After pondering for a while, he spread out his spirit sense and actually planted a mental seal in Wang Meng's sea of consciousness. His eyes were still looking at the direction of Purple Silk City. At this moment, Wang Meng really had the urge to slap his own mouth. When he said that he wanted to be Ning Fan's slave, he was just spouting nonsense in a moment of desperation. He did not expect that Ning Fan would actually take it seriously and really want to keep him as a slave. Having reached his current cultivation realm, he could be considered as a famous old monster with a high status. Although his name might not be known throughout the Eastern Heaven, he could still be considered as a powerful expert. How could he be willing to be someone else's slave? However, Ning Fan's spirit sense had already invaded his sea of consciousness, intending to plant a mental seal. It was already too late for Wang Meng to regret his decision now. When he met Ning Fan's cold eyes, he suddenly shivered. He had an intuition that if he resisted Ning Fan's mental seal, he would definitely end up in a miserable state. Damn it. Why didn't the Luo clan come to help me at such a critical moment? Am I not a combat body cultivator that the Luo clan respects as a distinguished guest? Don't I have 4 referrals from Du Zhen? Why haven't the 4 of them helped me until now? Wang Meng gritted his teeth and spread out his spirit sense towards Purple Silk City. But this sweep of spirit sense had turned his last hope into nothingness. He had 4 referrals. These 4 people were the ones who helped him to run rampant in Broken Halberd Mountain in the past. However, at this moment, the 4 of them seemed to be frozen in place. They could not move at all. Their expressions were bitter and they could not help him at all. The 4 of them were suppressed by an extremely vast Tao sense, as if they were carrying a heavy mountain. They were suppressed in Purple Silk City and could not help Wang Meng at all. The 4 of them weren't the only ones who were suppressed by the Tao sense. At this very moment, the entire Violet Silk City was suppressed by an invisible Tao sense. Under the Void Rend, no one could take half a step forward, let alone resist the suppression of the Tao sense to help Wang Meng. The only thing that all the cultivators of the Luo clan could do was to watch Ning Fan teach Wang Meng a lesson. No one could help him. The one who spread his Tao sense was an old man in green robes. Beside him was an immortal crane that was riding on a mount. On the other side, there were 5 Shekongers who were waiting respectfully. They were the 5 old ancestors of the Luo clan who had hurriedly come out from their seclusion to welcome Ning Fan. If it wasn't because of this old man who suppressed the entire Purple Silk City, the Luo clan might have sent someone to help Wang Meng. The old man wore a dark green silk scarf on his head. His white hair reached the ground, giving him the air of an immortal. He was standing under an old pine tree that required 3 people to encircle it. His palm was stroking the top of the immortal crane. His eyes were filled with benevolence. That smile was directed at Ning Fan alone. Luo Xiao has a good eye. He actually found this person? The old man muttered to himself with a smile. The old man had an early thought fragmentation realm cultivation base. He was only a step away from the mid-thought fragmentation realm. In the entire eastern sky, this person could be considered a person whose prestige spread far and wide. His name was Luo Shi. He was the clan leader of the Luo clan and also the 9th elder of the Godly Void Pavilion. With his cultivation base, he only needed a single thought to suppress the cultivators of the Luo clan. Seeing that it was Luo Shi who suppressed the entire Luo clan and helped Ning Fan to deal with him, Wang Meng immediately became dejected and felt helpless. There were countless cultivators who were paying attention to this battle. However, at this moment, Wang Meng felt like he was abandoned by the entire world. He was the only one left in this boundless world, lonely and powerless. He was not Ning Fan's opponent. If the Luo clan also refused to help him, he could only accept his fate and let Ning Fan plant the restrictive spell on him. However, it was obvious that Luo Shi did not have the intention to withdraw his Tao sense. No one in the Luo clan would come to help him. This old man's mouth? Why did I say that I'm a slave? I'm really asking for trouble. Wang Meng let out a long sigh. It was too late for regrets. However, he could only let Ning Fan plant the restrictive spell on him. With this type of restrictive spell, he would be Ning Fan's slave from now on. The regret in his heart was like a river bursting its banks. It was uncontrollable. However, what Wang Meng could not understand was that Luo Shi actually suppressed the entire Luo clan and did not allow anyone to help him. He was the only cultivator with a combat body in the Luo clan. Why was he abandoned by Luo Shi? Ning Fan also could not understand this point. Even the entire Luo clan could not understand it. Clan leader, why did you stop us from helping and let this young man plant the restrictive spell on Wang Meng? That Wang Meng is the only cultivator with a combat body in our Luo clan. The 5 Shikong of the Luo clan looked at their clan leader, Luo Shi, in confusion. That Wang Meng has repeatedly attacked the guest elders of the First Peak. Now, it can be considered as his retribution. He only has himself to blame. To him, being planted with a restrictive spell is already considered a very light punishment. Luo Shi's eyes turned sharp as he answered. However, that Wang Meng is the possessor of the 8 extremities combat body. He might be the hope to save the combat king. But compared to that Wang Meng, I feel that the guest elder recommended by Luo Xiao this time has a higher chance of attaining the 4th transformation of his combat arts. Luo Shi stopped talking and did not continue his sentence. That Ning Fan doesn't have a combat body. Clan leader seems to think too highly of him. One of the Shikong of the Luo clan said with dissatisfaction. Luo Shi smiled and did not answer him. He just took out a jade slip and passed it to the 5 Shikong. This is the information that Luo Shao reported to me. If I didn't receive this jade slip, I wouldn't have taken the time to rush back to the Luo clan despite my busy schedule. The 5 Shikong's eyes were filled with doubt. They scanned the contents of the jade slip with their spirit sense. As soon as they finished reading it, their eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. What they found the most unbelievable was a sentence in the jade slip. The guest elder of the Luo clan, Ning Fan, has already attained his first natal combat fire after becoming a guest elder for just 3 months. Impossible. In the history of our Luo clan, there are many cultivators who have cultivated the war god art. However, none of them has such a terrifying cultivation speed. You should know that even the combat king had to cultivate for a whole year just to attain his first natal combat fire. One of the Shikong's old ancestors immediately refuted. Whether this young man has such a cultivation speed or not, we will know after verifying it later. Luo Shi did not want to say anything else. With a thought, he released all the Dao sense that was suppressing the Violet Silk City. Then he gave an order to all the cultivators in the city. My return today is just temporary. I will leave in a few days to continue assisting in the restoration of the heaven-suppressing bell. Before that, all the second-step cultivators and guest elders of the Luo clan are to come to the secret hall immediately. I have something to announce. As soon as he finished speaking, Luo Shi looked at the direction of the ruins with a meaningful look. The person he was looking at was still Ning Fan. All the second-step cultivators of the Luo clan immediately rushed to the secret hall when they heard that their clan leader had something to announce. Even the guest elders of the Luo clan who were in seclusion in their cave residences also came out and rushed to the secret hall. I didn't expect that the clan leader of the Luo clan would actually help me. Ning Fan muttered to himself. When Luo Shi arrived at the Violet Silk City and suppressed the entire city with his Dao sense, Ning Fan had already sensed his arrival. As soon as he made his move, he suppressed the entire Luo clan, not allowing any cultivators to help Wang Meng. His every move seemed to be tacitly allowing Ning Fan to help Wang Meng. He did not even try to hide his goodwill towards Ning Fan. Ning Fan did not have the intention to plant the restrictive spell on Wang Meng. The reason why he suddenly did it was to test Luo Shi's bottom line. What surprised Ning Fan was that Luo Shi did not show the slightest displeasure or stop him even after he had planted the restrictive spell on Wang Meng. At this moment, most of the second-step cultivators in the Luo clan had already followed Luo Shi's order and rushed to the secret hall of the Luo clan. Ning Fan remained silent for a while. Then, he grabbed Wang Meng who was covered in wounds from the ground and ordered indifferently, "Lead the way to the secret hall." Ning Fan's tone towards Wang Meng was not polite at all. From the moment he planted the restrictive spell on him, Wang Meng had already become his slave. Wang Meng's cultivation base was not enough to enter Ning Fan's eyes. To him, this person was dispensable and he could kill him whenever he wanted. At this moment, Wang Meng's expression was extremely bitter. The restrictive spell in his sea of consciousness kept reminding him that he could not disobey Ning Fan's orders. He consumed a pill to temporarily suppress his injuries. Then he let out a long sigh and flew towards the Violet Silk City with Ning Fan. Along the way, the cultivators and the guest elders of the Luo clan looked at Ning Fan with either respect or fear. They no longer looked down on him like before. The strength that Ning Fan had displayed in this battle was really terrifying. Perhaps even a true Duzhen cultivator would not be as strong as him. What puzzled them the most was that the Luo clan lord, Luo Shi, had quietly suppressed all the cultivators of the Luo clan and tacitly allowed Ning Fan to attack Wang Meng. He even became Ning Fan's backer. This point made the crowd speculate about Ning Fan's identity. Their fear towards Ning Fan deepened. The secret hall of the Luo clan was located in the forbidden area of the Violet Silk City. It was heavily guarded and was the place where the cultivators of the Luo clan discussed matters. When Ning Fan arrived, hundreds of second-step cultivators in the secret hall fixed their eyes on him at the same time. There were also many guest elders of the Luo clan who were gloating when they saw Wang Meng's miserable appearance. Most of these cultivators were the guest elders of the first peak. Meng Xiu was one of them. Meng Xiu looked at the heavily injured Wang Meng who was following behind Ning Fan. He almost had the urge to laugh out loud. 15 years ago, Wang Meng had come to him and challenged him to a battle using the rules of the Broken Halberd Peak. That battle had destroyed half of his physical body. After that, he cultivated arduously for many years and consumed countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures to restore his physical body. Meng Xiu was naturally in a good mood when he finally got his retribution for the tyrant in the past. When he looked at Ning Fan's expression again, he could not help but have a good impression of him. Ning Fan ignored the gazes of the crowd and walked towards where Luo Xiao was standing. When Luo Xiao saw Ning Fan walking towards him, he immediately cupped his fists and smiled. Just as he was about to say something, an old man in the hall coughed softly. It was Luo Shi, the clan lord of the Luo clan. Immediately, all the cultivators turned silent and looked at the old man. Even Luo Xiao could not help but smile helplessly and swallow all the words he wanted to say. It seems that almost everyone has arrived. In that case, this old man will be able to select the 8 tomb guardians of my Battle King Luo clan from amongst everyone present. As soon as Luo Shi said that, many cultivators of the Luo clan revealed an excited look. The moment Ning Fan heard this, his brows knitted tightly. It was beyond his expectation that the Luo clan would choose the tomb guardians at this moment. He had yet to successfully cultivate the first transformation of his battle art. Therefore, he was not qualified to participate in the competition for the tomb guardians. Chapter 8:15. Ning Fan frowned. Luo Xiao, who was beside him, immediately saw through his worry and transmitted his voice to him. Don't worry, fellow Taoist. I have already reported to the Patriarch about your request for the position of Tomb Keeper of Luo clan. The reason why the Patriarch returned today is to give fellow Taoist a position. Otherwise, there is no need for him to come back personally. It's fine even if you haven't mastered the first form of the God of War. Is that so? As soon as Ning Fan heard Luo Xiao's words, not only did he not feel relieved, but his frown deepened. Luo Shi stroked his beard and let the cultivators of the secret hall discuss among themselves. After a long time, he coughed softly. Immediately, the secret hall fell silent again. Even the 5 Shikong didn't dare to speak anymore. Luo Shifu spoke again as his gaze swept across the cultivators in the hall. In this year's tomb competition, our Luo clan has a total of 8 tomb keepers. I came back to Heavenly Sea Star this time to inform you of the start time of the tomb contest and select 8 tomb keepers with Miss Xian. Luo Shi smiled politely at Luo Xian. Luo Xian walked out of the crowd and stood shoulder to shoulder with Luo Shi. She still had a prideful temperament, but she still bowed respectfully to Luo Shi. That respect came from the bottom of her heart. Occasionally, a few guests that had just entered the Luo clan not long ago suddenly heard Luo Shi's way of addressing Luo Xian, and all of them were stunned and puzzled. Even Ning Fan revealed a strange expression on his face. Miss Xian. Ning Fan's eyes flashed as he pondered over how Luo Shi addressed Luo Xian. Luo Shi was the Luo family's patriarch while Luo Xian was the young master. However, Luo Shi addressed Luo Xian as Miss. Fellow Taoist, you may not know this, but among the descendants of the Battle Monarch, the young master's bloodline is most similar to that of the Battle Monarchs. The family head, on the other hand, is not a descendant of the Battle Monarch. In fact, he is not even a cultivator of our Luo clan. Rather, he is a servant of the Battle Monarch. The Patriarch has followed the Battle King for his entire life. After the Battle King fell into a deep slumber, he swore an oath that he would succeed as the Patriarch of the Luo clan, just to protect the descendants of the Battle King and wait for the Battle King to wake up. Although the Patriarch's cultivation base is high and his identity is illustrious, he has always been very polite to the descendants of the Battle King. In the Luo clan, the one who wants the Battle King to wake up the most is the Patriarch. Seeing the doubt in Ning Fan's eyes, Luo Xiao explained to him through telepathy. After hearing his words, Ning Fan's expression changed slightly and he looked at Luo Shi. This Luo Shi was the patriarch of the Luo clan, the ninth elder of the godly Void Pavilion, and the servant of the Battle King. When the Battle King was unconscious, he protected the Luo clan on behalf of his master. He treated the Battle King's descendants well and waited for his master to wake up. His loyalty was unwavering. In the cultivation world, there weren't many servants as loyal as Luo Shi. There were even fewer of them who still cared about their past relationship despite their illustrious status. Luo Shi was an early thought fragmentation realm cultivator. His cultivation base was 3 major realms higher than Ning Fan's. Previously, Ning Fan could not see the outline of Luo Shi's Dao clearly. Now, after listening to Luo Zhao's words and looking at the Dao runes surrounding Luo Shi's body, he gained some understanding. If I'm not mistaken, this person's Dao should be the Dao of loyalty. Loyalty to him is his everything. But within this loyalty, there's also loneliness, remorse, and longing for his master. Ning Fan's eyes flickered with green light as he carefully read Luo Shi's Dao rune. Luo Shi nodded at Ning Fan with a smile as if he sensed something. Among the group of cultivators, a member of the Luo clan whose face was filled with excitement suddenly took a step forward and bowed respectfully to Luo Shi and Luo Xian. Clan Lord, may I ask when exactly will the tomb competition begin? What are the criteria for the 8 tomb guardians? Will it be the same as the previous years? As soon as the person asked the question, the entire secret hall immediately fell silent. Everyone was waiting for Luo Shi's answer. The tomb competition has been set to be held 10 years later. It's the season when the fog covers the eastern sea. Therefore, there won't be any primordial spirit wine as a reward in this tomb competition. Luo Shi was halfway through his words when a cultivator exclaimed, 10 years. It's actually brought forward. Another cultivator said thoughtfully, is the tomb competition brought forward for the sake of the hearts of the cultivators in Indong? After the chaos, the hearts of the people have yet to calm down. Perhaps this grand event can gradually make them forget about the calamity caused by the Sun Luo clan. Luo Shi waved his hand to silence the crowd. Then, he continued, the requirement for the tomb guardians of the 4 divine void pavilions is that their skeletal age must be lower than 200,000 years. Therefore, those whose skeletal age is above 200,000 years, please step back. The rest of you will step forward. What? 200,000 years? In the previous tomb competition, the skeletal age limit was still 220,000 years. This time, it has been reduced again. A late human profound realm cultivator of the Luo clan immediately showed a distressed expression. His skeletal age had already exceeded 210,000 years. It seemed like he was not fated to participate in this tomb competition. Just the skeletal age alone would eliminate countless people. Among the hundreds of second-step cultivators, 90% of them immediately retreated to the back of the hall. Only 41 people took a step forward. Naturally, Ning Fan was also among the 41 people. If his skeletal age were to be revealed, he would probably be the lowest in this hall. Wang Meng was still behind Ning Fan. His skeletal age was also less than 200,000 years. What's your skeletal age? Ning Fan asked with a slight frown. Master, 190,000. Wang Meng endured the pain on his body and answered with a smile. Now that Ning Fan was his master, he naturally did not dare to show any dissatisfaction towards him. 190,000 years old? Why does he have the appearance of an old man? Ning Fan's eyes revealed a strange expression. Generally speaking, a peak ghost profound realm expert who was 190,000 years old would have the appearance of a young man. It was extremely rare to see an old man with strong muscles like Wang Meng. This lowly one's aptitude wasn't very good in the past. When I was in the Gold Core realm, I almost died of old age. That's why I look like this. But after that, this lowly one awakened the 8 extremities combat physique in despair. My aptitude increased tremendously, and that was how I broke through to the nascent soul realm. I see. Ning Fan nodded and no longer paid attention to Wang Meng. Compared to Wang Meng, he was naturally more concerned about which 8 out of the 41 people would become the tomb guards. Although Luo Xiao had given him a guarantee, he had yet to reach the first transformation. The selection of the candidates came too quickly and too hastily. Including Miss Xian, there are only 42 people. It's a little less than expected. Luo Shi shook his head and continued. Then, according to the rules of my Luo clan, cultivators who have reached the first transformation of War God, show your battle intent and take a step forward. As soon as Luo Shi's words fell, only 16 of the 41 people took a step forward. Among these 16 people, there were Luo Xiao, Wang Meng, the life immortals of Luo clan and the guest elders of the second peak, but none of them were Duzhen. Just the Bone Age alone was enough to eliminate countless Duzhen. Each of them had more than 9 battle flames hovering around them. After summoning the battle flames, their eyes were filled with battle intent. Ning Fan wasn't among the 16 people. Luo Xiao showed a hint of worry and looked at the clan master Luo Shi. Before this, the clan master had promised him that Ning Fan would be one of the tomb guards. But now, Ning Fan was eliminated in advance, which didn't match the promise. Luo Xian knitted her brows and couldn't help but look at Ning Fan's direction. She suddenly had a trace of regret in her heart. It seemed like Ning Fan didn't get the qualification to be the tomb guard. Ning Fan's eyes slightly focused, but he didn't say anything. Luo Shi's eyes swept across the 16 people in front of him. He nodded his head and asked Luo Xian who was beside him. 16 people. That's quite a lot this time. Then, I would like to invite Miss Xian to choose 6 people from these 16 people. Together with Miss Xian, we will occupy the 7 spots. As for the last spot, I have an idea. I want to leave it for those cultivators who haven't cultivated to the first transformation but have reached the required Bone Age. What do you think about this suggestion, Miss Xian? Leave 1 spot for those cultivators who haven't cultivated to the first transformation? Luo Xian was stunned. She didn't know why, but when she heard this, she felt a trace of relief. Without any hesitation, Luo Xian immediately nodded and said, "All right, let's do as the clan master said. We will give those who haven't cultivated to the first transformation a spot. It's a chance." That's good. If that's the case, let's choose the 6 people who have cultivated to the first transformation first. Luo Shi nodded his head and pointed his finger. A door of light immediately appeared in the secret hall. It led to a small kiliacosm and announced the rules of the competition. 16 people would compete for 6 spots. The method to determine the spots was naturally to fight and compete based on their strength. The 16 cultivators followed Luo Shi and Luo Xian into the small kiliacosm. 2 hours later, the spots were determined based on their strength. The 6 cultivators who won the spots were all at the Ghost Profound Realm. Luo Xiao was naturally one of the 6 people. Although Wang Meng was severely injured, he still gritted his teeth and got a spot. In this way, including Luo Xian, 7 out of the 8 spots of the Luo clan had been determined. Only the last spot would be given to Ning Fan and the other 25 people. At this moment, Ning Fan was convinced that Luo Shi was deliberately giving him a chance to express his goodwill by giving him the spot to be a grave guardian. Among the 25 people, the one with the highest cultivation base was just a late Ghost Profound Realm. Everyone looked at Ning Fan with a trace of fear and dread. If the last spot was still determined based on strength, no one would be able to win against Ning Fan. Wang Meng's miserable ending was a good example. Ning Fan, who was unknown in the Luo clan in the past, suddenly established his prestige. As soon as he established his prestige, many cultivators looked at him with chills. It seems like we have no hope of getting the last spot. A late Ghost Profound Realm cultivator of the Luo clan sighed helplessly. The same sigh also came from the mouths of the other cultivators. Everyone, don't be discouraged. It's not impossible for all of you to get the last spot. Luo Shi smiled faintly. After that, his eyes suddenly turned sharp. All of a sudden, an unimaginable force of Tao sense came out from his mouth and turned into a word that was like the might of the heavens. Disperse. The word disperse carried a great divine ability. As soon as it was uttered, an indescribable force of the great Tao swept across from the center of the secret hall. All the cultivators within a radius of 10 zhang were forced to retreat. The area within a radius of 10 zhang seemed to have turned into a vacuum zone. Even Ning Fan, Du Zhen and the 5 Shikong cultivators of the Luo clan couldn't get close to this place without permission. They couldn't go against Luo Shi's will of Dao sense. This was a technique that only cultivators of the mid-thought-shattering stage could use. As for Luo Shi, he had already grasped the essence of the ability. He wasn't far from breaking through to the mid-thought fragmentation realm. Luo Shi patted his storage pouch again. Immediately, a ray of starlight flew out from the pouch and fell into the center of the secret hall, turning into a giant starlight. Among the 25 of you, the one who can break this stone will get the last spot of the tomb keeper. As soon as Luo Shi's words were uttered, everyone present gasped. This was because the giant stone that fell into the center of the secret hall was actually a huge piece of immemorial star iron. With the eyesight of the cultivators present, they could tell that it was 6-star divine iron, which could be used to make the immemorial divine weapons used by the Du Zhen cultivators. The advantage of the immemorial star iron was that it could be used to make magical weapons that could be upgraded. Although this stone had yet to be refined into a magical weapon, it was so hard that even an early Du Zhen cultivator might not be able to break it with a single strike. Let me try. After all, it's just a piece of immemorial star iron. It won't be as scary as a living person. Even if I fail, it doesn't matter. Among the 25 people, a mid-ghost profound realm cultivator immediately stepped forward. That person looked at Ning Fan with extreme fear. Then, he gritted his teeth and took a step forward. With a wave of his hand, he summoned his Dao weapon. Without saying a word, he struck the giant stone with his hammer. His Dao weapon was a heavenly flame silver hammer. When he swung it, a sonic boom resounded throughout the secret hall. This hammer strike seemed to have exerted all of his strength in his life. However, when it hit the giant stone, it only caused some ripples on the surface of the giant stone. It did not cause any damage to the giant stone at all. At the next moment, the star force suddenly surged from the giant stone. The direction of the star force actually went against the law of the great Tao. Moreover, a rebounding force that was a few times stronger than the previous hammer strike came from the giant stone. It turned into a ray of sharp light and immediately attacked that person. That person's silver hammer Dao weapon was instantly smashed into pieces by the rebounding force. As for his body, it flew high into the sky like a fallen leaf. Then, it fell miserably on the ground. He had already fainted due to his severe injuries. This is immemorial star-defying. All of a sudden, all the cultivators in the secret hall revealed a look of shock. There were also many people whose eyes were filled with excitement. The immemorial star-defying was an extremely rare type of immemorial star iron. The direction of the star force of this iron went against the great Tao. Ordinary immemorial divine weapons couldn't be forged with this star-defying. Before this iron was forged into a treasure, no one could touch it or attack it. Otherwise, they would suffer a painful counterattack from the star-defying power it contained. There was only one type of divine weapon magic treasure that could be forged with this star-defying. It was a type of Devil Dao armor called Star-Defying Devil Armor. Not only did it have an astonishing defense, but it also had the ability to counterattack. The grade of this piece of immemorial star-defying star iron was 6 stars. The 6 stars divine iron was a common material used by cultivators of Du Zhen for refining treasures. They used 7 stars divine iron instead of 6 stars divine iron. However, if it was a 6 stars defying star iron, even cultivators of Du Zhen would fight for it. Unfortunately, this iron was usually priceless. It was extremely difficult to find a piece of it, let alone such a huge piece. Immemorial star-defying. It's actually the immemorial star-defying. Who else other than cultivators of Du Zhen would dare to attack this piece of iron? That mid-ghost profound realm cultivator was only seriously injured by the counterattack. If it's us, Du Zhen, attacking this piece of iron, the counterattack force would definitely increase along with our attacks. At that time, it wouldn't be as simple as getting injured. If we're not careful, we might even lose our lives. Some of the Du Zhen Luo clan's cultivators gradually retracted their fiery eyes. When they looked at the huge rock again, they began to shake their heads. The counterattack force of this star-defying star is too terrifying. It's really unwise to risk our lives to destroy this piece of iron just for the position of tomb keeper. Among the 25 cultivators who were waiting to be chosen, there were still 23 of them, excluding the mid-ghost profound realm cultivator who had fallen to the ground and Ning Fan. After these 23 people saw the miserable state of the previous cultivator, none of them had the courage to attack the huge rock anymore. Each of them wanted to fight for the last position of tomb keeper, but they were afraid of the counterattack force of the huge rock. Only Ning Fan looked at the huge immemorial star-defying rock solemnly without any intention of retreating. With my current strength, it won't be difficult for me to destroy this rock with a full blow. However, after that blow, I will definitely suffer a counterattack that is a few times stronger than before. With the counterattack force, it won't be enough to kill me, but it's inevitable for me to be seriously injured. Ning Fan shifted his gaze and looked at Luo Shi. In Luo Shi's eyes, Ning Fan saw a hint of expectation. This immemorial star-defying star is Luo Shi's test for me. Luo Shi doesn't mind showing his goodwill to me and giving me the position of tomb keeper of his clan, but the premise is that I have to show the corresponding strength. No, it's not just strength. What Luo Shi wants to test is how decisive I will be when facing this immemorial star-defying star. Should I fight or hide? Should I be brave or cowardly? Ning Fan took a deep breath and took a step forward. In order to get the position of tomb keeper of Luo clan, he had already come this far. It was impossible for him to retreat because he was afraid of getting injured. By the way, there's one thing that this old man forgot to say. The moment Ning Fan took a step forward, Luo Shi suddenly spoke again. This time, there's an additional rule compared to the previous times. Due to the cancellation of the bell sacrifice, the cultivator who gets first place in this competition won't get the primordial spirit wine as a reward, but will get a special reward. This person could make a request to the Godly Void Pavilion to the best of their abilities. The Godly Void Pavilion will do its best to satisfy this person's request. Any request. I wonder if little friend has any wish that needs to be fulfilled by the 4 pavilions? If there is, then in order to fulfill your wish, you will have a reason to not retreat. You will certainly be determined to get this position, and this immemorial star-defying star will no longer be scary. Luo Shi's last sentence was obviously meant for Ning Fan alone. Moreover, there was a deeper meaning behind his words. His original intention was to enlighten Ning Fan in front of this immemorial star-defying star. To tell Ning Fan the essence of the war god art, to help Ning Fan experience the state of mind of fighting with one's back against the river, having no choice but to fight, in front of this immemorial star-defying star. However, what Luo Shi did not expect was that his last sentence made Ning Fan think of something else. Ning Fan could naturally hear that Luo Shi's words were filled with the intention of enlightening him. However, what he was more concerned about was the words that Luo Shi had said before. At this moment, Ning Fan's eyes suddenly turned cold, and his heart was hit by 1,000 waves. The first place of the tomb competition can make a request to the Godly Void Pavilion? I can make any request. Even if I remove Asi's name from the sacrificial list of the Godly Void Pavilion. At this moment, Ning Fan's desire to obtain the position of tomb keeper was not because of the other half of ancient chaos inheritance, but because of a request. If the first place of the tomb competition had this right, then to him, this tomb competition was no longer dispensable, and he must win. This position was something that he must fight for, and he must not give it to anyone. As soon as this feeling appeared, the battle flame in Ning Fan's body suddenly surged and rushed out of his body. In a split second, there were 6 traces of battle flames hovering around him, and his eyes were filled with battle intent. 6 traces of battle flames. This child has only joined the Luo clan for less than 10 months. How could he cultivate 6 traces of battle flames? At this moment, countless people in the secret hall were shocked by Ning Fan's 6 traces of battle flames. Even Luo Shi's face that was always calm and tranquil suddenly showed a shocked expression. Chapter 8:16. In this place, Other than Meng Xiu, who had used the Warflames compass to measure the number of Ning Fan's Warflames, no one else knew about the fact that Ning Fan possessed 6 traces of Warflames. Even Luo Shi, Luo Xiao, and the 5 Shikong were shocked. They only knew that Ning Fan had condensed the first flame of war. However, they did not know that he already had 6. As for the rest of the people, they did not even know that Ning Fan had cultivated the flames of war. Thus, they were even more shocked than before. 6 battle flames wasn't something to be surprised about. In the Luo clan, there were many cultivators who had cultivated 6 battle flames before even reaching the first transformation. What surprised everyone was that Ning Fan had only spent less than 10 months to form 6 traces of war flames. This cultivation speed was even faster than that of the Luo clan's battle monarch. This could only mean one thing. Even if Ning Fan was not a cultivator with a combat body, his aptitude in cultivating battle techniques had already surpassed everyone in the Luo clan. 6th brother, didn't you say that this kid's aptitude was ordinary and mediocre? What a load of nonsense. If this person was ordinary, then wouldn't we be worse than dogs? Immediately find another person and make him cultivate 6 battle flames in 10 months for this daddy to see. If you can find one, I will change my surname to yours. A hot-tempered old man in a red robe immediately shouted at the 6th patriarch. This person was the 2nd patriarch of the Luo clan. He cultivated in fire elemental techniques and had always been straightforward. 2nd brother, you have the same surname as 6th brother. Our surname is Luo. An old man in a green robe, who looked like a child, chuckled and said. As soon as he finished speaking, he straightened his face and reprimanded the 6th forefather. Old 6th, it's not that I want to criticize you, but your judgment is really not as good as Luo Zhao's. He was none other than the 4th patriarch of the Luo clan. I've really misjudged. At this moment, the 6th patriarch of the Luo clan was so ashamed that he could not show his face. In the face of the rebuke from the other Shikong, he could only smile bitterly and not offer any explanation. On the day when Ning Fan came to the Extreme Cold Palace, he was the one who personally taught him battle arts and cultivation methods. However, he didn't notice that Ning Fan had such a high aptitude in cultivation. He didn't even look Ning Fan in the eye. If he had seen the slightest advantage in Ning Fan that day, he wouldn't have allowed someone like Ning Fan to join the Luo clan for 10 months before his name was revealed. Good lad, good eyesight. Stronger than you, 6th forefather. To be able to find such a person for my Luo family as a foreign elder, I will give you credit. Here, this is your father's reward for you. Take it. With this, you will most likely be able to break through the bottleneck of the late ghost profound realm. The 2nd patriarch snorted coldly and ignored the 6th patriarch. Instead, he took out a jade box and handed it to Luo Xiao with a smile on his face. Although Luo Xiao had a certain status in the Luo family, he had never received any rewards from the 5 Shikong patriarchs. Now that he had suddenly received a reward from the 2nd patriarch, he was immediately overwhelmed by the favor. When he opened the jade box once more, shock immediately appeared in his eyes, and he exclaimed in agitation. Dao Essence. It was the marrow of the Dao. With this item, I will definitely be able to further improve my physical strength and use this opportunity to break through to the late stage of the ghost profound realm. Excited my ass. It's just a diluted drop. The undiluted one isn't for you. I'm afraid it's going to be left for this person. The 2nd patriarch patted Luo Zhao's shoulder to encourage him. His eyes, however, were looking at Ning Fan with a hint of excitement. The Luo family had been looking for a foreign elder for countless years. What they wanted to find was a person with peerless combat talent like him. Only such a person would have a chance to cultivate the 4th transformation of his combat arts. Only such a person would have a chance to save the War King Luo Ho. Finally, they found him. Not only the 5 Shikong patriarchs were excited, but all the cultivators of the Luo family were also extremely excited. The way they looked at Ning Fan was as if they were looking at their savior who they had been waiting for countless years. Even the 4 people who recommended Wang Meng to do Jin no longer had any dissatisfaction towards Ning Fan. One of them even quietly went to Wang Meng's side, patted his shoulder and said with a smile, "Accept your fate." Even though you are a combat body cultivator, this person's combat talent is incomparable to yours. From today onwards, I'm afraid everyone in the War King Luo family will stand on his side. Accept my fate? How can I not accept my fate? Hee hee. Wang Meng let out a hollow laugh and quietly moved away, keeping a distance from the person who recommended him. This person's resolute attitude of abandoning him had dissatisfied him. However, he was no longer the person whom the Luo family valued the most now. He no longer had the arrogant and domineering aura he used to have. From today onwards, the person whom the Luo family valued the most would undoubtedly be his master, Ning Fan. There's no need to think about it anymore. The reason why the head of the Luo family suppressed the entire city and sided with Ning Fan must be because he saw that Ning Fan has an exceptional combat talent and decided to abandon me. Wang Meng let out a long sigh. Luo Xian hid her soft hands in her sleeves, tightly holding the piece of white cloth. Ning Fan's combat talent had far exceeded her expectation. Another slightly absurd thought quietly grew in her mind. Perhaps that person is also him. Since he can surpass the War King in terms of combat talent, it's not impossible for him to surpass Wan Gu in terms of speed. Perhaps it's really him. Almost all the cultivators in the secret hall were moved by Ning Fan's display of the 6 war flames. However, Ning Fan completely ignored all of them. At this moment, his eyes were flashing with the light of the flames of war. His body was surrounded by the 6 war flames. His eyes were fixed on the star-defying boulder in front of him. At this moment, there was only one thought in his mind. He had to smash this boulder no matter what. No matter what, he had to win the quota. No matter what, he had to get the first place in the tomb competition. No matter what, he had to return the little demoness who was the sacrificial offering to freedom. At this moment, there was no longer any hesitation or fear in his heart. If he attacked the immemorial star-defying boulder, he would definitely be severely injured by the backlash. This scene was like a mortal using his palm to slap the edge of a blade. No matter how brave a person was, there would always be a trace of hesitation and fear in his heart. However, at this moment, Ning Fan was the mortal who placed his palm on the edge of the blade without any fear in his heart. Fearlessness wasn't because he was brave. The true battle intent wasn't because he was thirsty for battle, but because of a belief to never retreat from 100 battles and never be afraid of death. Just like what Luo Shi had taught him, the true essence of the war god art was to never retreat as long as there was a thought in his heart. As long as I smash this star-defying boulder, I will become the tomb guardian of the Luo family. Ning Fan suddenly took a step forward. The 6 traces of war flames that were revolving around his body suddenly shone brightly. After a flash, they flew back into his body at the same time. His eyes were filled with battle intent. His ink-black hair suddenly turned blood red and began to grow longer. His thin and weak body suddenly grew taller, and he became tall and strong. His white robe was flowing with specks of blood-red light, as if it had turned into a blood-red robe. All of these were changes that could only be triggered by a cultivator who had truly cultivated the first transformation. He had yet to cultivate the first transformation. However, at this moment, he had comprehended the essence of the first transformation through Luo Shi's words and the thought in his heart. It was the battle intent of, I can't retreat, I can only fight. His physical body was originally at the 5th heavenly layer of the Sichen realm. The physical body of an ancient devil at the 5th heavenly layer of the Sichen realm was comparable to a peak 5th severance immortal body cultivator. At this moment, Ning Fan used the 6 traces of war flames in his body to display the blood body transformation of the first transformation. His ancient devil cultivation base instantly rose to the peak of the 6th heavenly layer of the Sichen realm. As for the level of his physical body, it was comparable to a cultivator with a 7th severance immortal body transformation. The 7th severance immortal body transformation was equivalent to the late ghost profound realm. Break for me! Ning Fan suddenly raised his fist and threw a punch at the immemorial star-defying boulder fearlessly. A wave of ferocious aura force immediately turned into a violent wind and spread out from his body. His blood-red robe fluttered in the violent wind. His red hair danced wildly in the wind. When his punch landed, it immediately caused a loud explosion. Cracks even appeared on the surface of the star-defying boulder. However, it still did not shatter. A repulsive force that was a few times stronger than his punch immediately bounced back to Ning Fan, hitting his chest and abdomen and his entire body. Ning Fan was forced to take 10 steps back continuously. Each step he took left a bloody footprint that was 1 inch deep on the incomparably hard floor of the secret hall. At this moment, Ning Fan only had one feeling: his body was pierced by countless long needles. It was extremely painful. His entire body had been severely injured by the repulsive force. His body was riddled with holes and blood was flowing out from his wounds. He actually managed to land a punch on the immemorial star-defying boulder. Moreover, he didn't show any fear or hesitation in that punch. In the secret hall, countless cultivators were shocked by Ning Fan's punch. The 5 Shikong cultivators of the Luo clan acted in unison. All of them wanted to rush to Ning Fan's side and help him heal his injuries. Their eyes were filled with unconcealable nervousness. It was as if Ning Fan's injuries were more serious than their own. Just as the 5 of them took a step forward, a vast Dao sense immediately pressed down on them, stopping them from moving forward. Wait, let him make his own decision. Luo Shi's voice carried an irrefutable tone and entered the 5 of their ears. Their expressions changed. However, they stared at Ning Fan deeply. In the end, they did not help him. This star-defying boulder could only be shattered by him. It was because Ning Fan had already used up all of his battle intent to shatter the star-defying boulder. If anyone were to help him, his battle intent would not be able to be vented. Then, it would collapse and the consequences would be unimaginable. At this moment, Ning Fan could not hear any sound. The only thing he could hear was the sound of blood gushing out from his ears. He was injured by the immemorial star-defying boulder. His injuries were definitely not light. However, the battle intent in his eyes did not waver at all. Countless years ago, he was a butterfly. A butterfly that rushed to the immortal emperor realm with an ordinary body. Just because of the persistence in his heart, he would not be afraid of any danger in front of him. Break for me! Ning Fan took another step forward. He raised his hand and threw a punch. Heaven and earth shook as his punch landed heavily on the star-defying boulder. With this strike, more cracks appeared on the boulder, and the recoil force struck him again, aggravating his injuries. However, this time, Ning Fan only took 7 steps back. The more serious his injuries were and the closer he was to death, the more he could feel the unyielding battle intent boiling in his heart. It was as if there was a voice that kept knocking on his heart. The enemy is strong while I am weak. What should I do? What should I do when my country is destroyed? What should I do when I am surrounded by enemies? What should I do when I am surrounded by enemies? What should I do? If he couldn't retreat, there was only one answer. The only way is to fight. The flames of battle in Ning Fan's eyes burned brighter. He shouted coldly and took another step forward. Without any fear, he threw another punch. Blood spilled. This time, Ning Fan took 5 steps back. Without any hesitation, he moved forward again. 4 steps, 3 steps, 2 steps. The distance he retreated was getting smaller and smaller. The cracks on the boulder increased. Ning Fan did not hold back his last punch. With the power of this punch, if he suffered another rebound, his life would certainly be in danger. However, he still did not hesitate in this punch. Before his thoughts could reach his target, his body had already moved instinctively. This punch contained the endless faith he had accumulated since he started cultivating the Tao. If there was even the slightest hesitation, confusion, or indecisiveness in this punch, he would no longer be Ning Fan. This punch immediately turned into a rainstorm of blood-red fist light. Hundreds of them landed on the star-defying boulder. Before all the explosions could be heard, Ning Fan's cold shout had already entered everyone's mind. As long as one cultivated the flames of war, the flames within their bodies would tremble. They actually resonated with the flames of war in Ning Fan's body. It was as if the laws of heaven and earth were resonating with Ning Fan. It was as if the battle intent of the entire heaven and earth had fused into Ning Fan's punch. Break! The fist light suddenly exploded in the secret hall. Luo Shi's expression changed. He immediately flicked his sleeve and retreated with everyone in the secret hall. At the next moment, with the secret hall as the center, the ground began to crumble and collapse. The collapse began to spread towards the entire purple silk city. Countless cultivators exclaimed in shock as they were engulfed by the collapsing force. The entire purple silk city was filled with screams of terror. In the sky, Luo Shi had just left the secret hall with the people in the secret hall. When he saw that the collapse was still expanding, he immediately smiled bitterly and said, "This young man's punch actually triggered the Tao law. This joke seems to have gone too far. Initially, I just wanted this young man to use the star-defying boulder to practice. I never thought that he would destroy the entire purple silk city with a single punch." While smiling bitterly, Luo Shi instantly spread out his Tao sense. In the next moment, all the living beings in the entire purple silk city were teleported to the sky by his will. Amidst the rumbling of heaven and earth, a gust of wind suddenly rose under the smoke and dust that covered the sky. The center of the gust was Ning Fan, who was standing on the ruins. At this moment, there was only a pile of star-defying boulder in front of him and below his feet. He had already become a bloody man. The battle intent in his body had also faded along with the color of blood. An unprecedented feeling of weakness, accompanied by pain, immediately surged into his heart. However, Ning Fan's expression was still as calm as still water. He just raised his palm and clenched it tightly. The corner of his mouth curled into a satisfied smile. "The quota has been obtained. However, I'm afraid it's very difficult to replicate this punch again." Countless gazes fell from the sky and landed on Ning Fan and the ruins of the purple silk city. Their eyes were filled with shock and respect. Even old Monster Duzhen felt a chill down his spine when he looked at Ning Fan. Ning Fan's last punch had definitely touched the Tao law of war. Otherwise, that punch wouldn't have been able to trigger the flames of war in others' bodies and unleash such terrifying power. Oh my God! Is this the strength of my master? If he had used such a punch when we were fighting, I'm afraid I would have already turned into ashes. Wang Meng involuntarily shuddered. He didn't realize that after being shocked by Ning Fan, he called Ning Fan master more and more smoothly. Unknowingly, his respect for Ning Fan as his master had increased, and he no longer felt repulsed by it. The 5 Shikong disciples of the Luo clan looked at Luo Shi with resentment. Their expressions were both helpless and relieved. Initially, they were worried that Ning Fan might be devoured by the immemorial star defying and his life would be in danger. Now, it seemed like they had worried too much. However, the purple silk city that the Luo clan relied on to live in would need to be rebuilt. For 3 whole days, Ning Fan went into seclusion to heal his injuries on the first peak of the Broken Halberd Mountain. With the many supreme healing treasures given by the Luo clan, his injuries were recovering at an extremely fast speed. With Luo Shi's sense fragmentation realm, rebuilding the purple silk city was just a matter of a blink of an eye. With just a thought, countless pavilions, terraces and buildings were immediately built on the ruins, and the ruins disappeared without a trace. 3 days later, Ning Fan's injuries had stabilized. He didn't continue to heal his injuries. He walked out of his cave residence and flew towards the purple silk city. It was Luo Shi who wanted to see him. He said that he wanted to give him the Tomb Keeper's token and bring him to the Dao Marrow secret realm of the Luo clan to heal his injuries. The Dao Marrow secret realm was the most forbidden place in the Luo clan. Legend has it that the Dao Marrow inside had the mysterious ability to heal and improve a cultivator's physical body. Walking in the newly built purple silk city, each of the cultivators of the Luo clan looked at Ning Fan with fear in their eyes. There was no other reason other than Ning Fan's city-destroying punch that triggered the Dao law. It was really too terrifying. Only Ning Fan knew that it was extremely difficult to replicate the punch he used that day, and it was also extremely difficult to use it again. On that day, Ning Fan's battle intent was aroused by Luo Shi's words. He bombarded the star-defying boulder with his fists without any fear of death. When his fists collided with the boulder, he actually touched the Tao law of war a little. It was an indescribable feeling that couldn't be explained clearly. He had only touched the edge of the Tao law, but if he wanted to control it and use it again, there was nothing he could do. It was because Ning Fan's cultivation base was still not strong enough to use the power of the Tao law. That punch was just an accident. It was like a boulder falling into the deep sea and stirring up thousands of waves. Recalling the state of mind he had that day, Ning Fan's lips curled into a smile. I didn't expect that after cultivating for so many years, the passion in my heart would still be easily aroused by some people and things. However, this is who I am. If I don't have these, I will be a butterfly without wings and will no longer be my original appearance. I have already obtained the quota of the Tomb Keeper. If I get the token, I will be qualified to enter the bottom level of the Divine Tomb to search for the inheritance of ancient chaos. There are still 10 years before the tomb competition. I must get the first place in the tomb competition 10 years later. If I get the first place, I will ask for Asi's identity as a sacrificial offering so that she can still live peacefully in Eastern Heaven. This is the best outcome. Ning Fan walked all the way to Luo Shi's place of seclusion, Guardian Stone Palace. Coincidentally, an elderly man in red robes walked out of the Guardian Stone Palace. His cultivation base was at the mid-shedding void realm. As soon as he saw Ning Fan's arrival, the elderly man stopped walking and immediately smiled. He cupped his fists at Ning Fan. Ning Fan immediately approached the elderly man and cupped his fists. Guest Ning Fan greets the second ancestor of the Luo clan. Little friend, you don't have to be so courteous. The clan master has been waiting for you for a long time. You should go in quickly. By the way, how are your injuries? Did you hurt your foundation? Do you need the help of cauldrons to heal your injuries? As far as I know, there are a few beautiful and charming cauldrons in the Chun clan of the Eastern Ocean. Those are the cauldrons of truth. Each of them has delicate skin and flesh. If you pinch them, water will drip out of them. If little friend needs them, I can help you and snatch those cauldrons from the Chun clan to help you heal your injuries. The feeling. As soon as he finished speaking, the second ancestor of the Luo clan looked at Ning Fan with an expression that said, "You know what I mean. We are men after all. You know what I mean." Chapter 8:17. Truth Crossing Cauldron? Ning Fan was slightly startled. In the four heavens, cauldrons and Tao fruits of true immortal realm were extremely rare. Almost no force would sell them. Although female cultivators at the Truth Crossing realm were at the first realm of the true immortal realm, they were still considered as giants in the eastern heavens. No force would be strong enough to sell female cultivators at this level. Moreover, after reaching the Truth Crossing realm, not just any female cultivator could be used as a cauldron. Not just any cultivation method could be used to pluck a Truth Crossing female cultivator. This was related to Tao. Every Truth Crossing cultivator had their own Tao. Since they had different Tao, a careless mistake would damage their Tao. The disadvantages were greater than the advantages. The Tao of female cultivators who could be called cauldrons must be suitable for plucking. If it was an ordinary Truth Crossing female cultivator, only cultivators with powerful cultivation methods would dare to pluck them. Ning Fan's yin-yang transformation was not a profound cultivation method in the eyes of the common people. However, he had the yin-yang locket. This alone could greatly increase the power of the yin-yang transformation, making it comparable to a 9 stars plucking technique. Plucking Truth Crossing cauldrons was not a problem. How is it, little friend? Are you tempted? Do you need my help to snatch these cauldrons? Just say it. You really don't need to be polite with me. Second ancestor of Luo clan smiled and raised his eyebrows. Forget it. I'm afraid it's not that easy to take the cauldrons of Chen clan. Ning Fan smiled and shook his head, rejecting second ancestor's good intention. Chen clan of Eastern Heavens was a major force in the godly Void Pavilion. Moreover, they had a strong foundation among the elders of the 4 pavilions. If he snatched the cauldrons of Chen clan, he would most likely become enemies with them. He might even offend some of the elders behind them. Before the end of the tomb competition, Ning Fan did not want to cause any unforeseen events just for a few truth-crossing cauldrons. With his intermediate Ghost Profound Realm cultivation base, he would not be able to break through to the late Ghost Profound Realm even if he plucked 3 to 5 truth-crossing cauldrons. If he could pluck more than 10 Dujin cauldrons in one go, he would have the confidence to break through to the late Qin realm. However, he didn't think that the Chen family would raise such a large number of Dujin female cultivators as cauldrons. Yeah, the cauldron of the Chen family is really hard to take. In recent years, the Chen family and the 8th elder have been getting closer. We can't underestimate them like we used to. The moment the 8th elder was mentioned, the Luo clan's second ancestor's eyes darkened slightly. Indeed, he fell silent. No one knew what he was thinking. After thinking for a while, he chatted with Ning Fan for a while and left. However, before he left, the second ancestor of the Luo clan invited Ning Fan to head to the Western Heaven Immortal World together if he has the time to snatch a few Buddhist maidens for fun. This suggestion was naturally rejected by Ning Fan. The Western Heaven Immortal World was so far away, and it viewed the ancient devil as an enemy. Naturally, he wouldn't go there. Compared to the 6th ancestor, the second ancestor is an interesting person. Ning Fan shook his head and entered the Stone Guardian Palace alone. Luo Shi was already waiting for him when he arrived at the main hall. At this moment, Luo Shi was standing in the hall with his hands clasped behind his back. His back was facing Ning Fan and he was looking at an ancient painting on the wall. His expression was filled with nostalgia. The scene in the painting was that of an endless demonic Qi mountain range. At the top of the mountain stood an arrogant black-faced burly man. Behind the burly man was a young servant. The young servant's facial features were somewhat similar to Luo Shi's. As for the arrogant black-faced burly man, he looked extremely similar to the portraits of the Battle King that were hung everywhere in the Luo clan. Without a doubt, this scene was Luo Shi thinking of his master after seeing the painting. This scene suddenly made Ning Fan recall some things in the past. At this moment, Luo Shi's back seemed to have a hint of loneliness, which reminded Ning Fan of someone he knew. That person was Lu Wan-er's master. He was the demon sealer of the Luo Yun tribe, one of the 9 divisions of the Lu clan, Lu Daochen. Once upon a time, Lu Daochen also looked at the portrait of his master, Lu Wu, like this, leaving Ning Fan with only his back view. Once upon a time, Lu Daochen also did everything he could to ask Ning Fan to free his master. The difference between Luo Shi and Lu Daochen's cultivation base was like heaven and earth. However, their loyalty and longing for their master were the same. Little friend, you're finally here. Luo Shi turned around and nodded at Ning Fan with a smile. Then he said, I have been to the Blood Sea planet before and watched the disciple recruitment competition of the Slaughter Palace. I still have a deep impression of you. Devil Lord Thousand Autumns, Ning Fan. I didn't expect you to have already stepped into the second step of Tao in less than 100 years and even become a profound ghost realm cultivator. Such a cultivation speed really astonishes me. You flatter me, Clan Lord. I don't deserve your praise. Ning Fan cupped his fists slightly and bowed to Luo Shi. Then his expression changed. He vaguely remembered that the 9th elder of the Godly Void Pavilion was one of the old monsters who watched the competition of the Slaughter Palace in the past. He did not expect that the other party would still remember a junior like him. Before I returned to the Luo clan this time, I heard some news from the Divine Tomb. They said that Devil Lord Thousand Autumns appeared in the world within the tomb and broke the heavenly tomb alone, shocking Yuan Kuang with a single sword strike. After that, I received a message from Luo Xiao saying that he recommended a foreign elder named Ning Fan. In just 3 months, he had already cultivated his first trace of battle flames. At that time, I was thinking that this foreign elder was most likely you, little friend. When I returned to the Luo clan, I was really surprised. However, little friend still surprised me. If I'm not mistaken that day, the punch that you used to destroy the Violet Silk City seemed to have touched the Tao of War. When he said that, Luo Shi's eyes suddenly lit up. He could naturally see that Ning Fan had just touched the power of the Tao of War slightly. He did not have the ability to control it. However, from Luo Shi's point of view, Being able to touch the edge of the Tao of War when he was still at the profound ghost realm was already enough for Ning Fan to be proud of himself. That punch was just a coincidence. I'm afraid it'll be very difficult for me to use it again. Ning Fan, on the other hand, was extremely self-aware. His expression was still as calm as still water. Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's get down to business. Little friend, do you understand why I kept showing goodwill to you and gave you a test? Luo Shi retracted his smile and said with a serious expression, "Is it because I have enough battle potential and I have the hope of attaining the fourth transformation of my battle art?" Ning Fan's eyes turned cold and said seriously, "That's right. I don't care that you injured Wang Meng. I can give you the quota of being a tomb guardian. When you're injured, I'm willing to lift the seal on the most forbidden place of the Luo clan, the Dao Marrow secret realm, to help you heal your injuries and improve your body refinement realm. All of this is because you're the biggest hope to save the Battle King. Just this point alone is enough for me to befriend you with all my might. I still have a question to ask you. Are you confident that you can attain the fourth transformation of my battle art within 100 years? As he said that, Luo Shi's eyes suddenly revealed a trace of sadness. He closed his eyes and muttered to himself in an inaudible voice. I've waited for 3 lifetimes and I've also been disappointed for 3 lifetimes. I'm left with the, for lifetimes, stone life. Finally, there's hope. However, Master doesn't have much time left. He only has 100 years left to live. I hope that this time, I won't be disappointed. Ning Fan naturally couldn't understand all of Luo Shi's words, but he could hear the sadness hidden deep in his heart. After thinking for a moment, Ning Fan answered, but he still didn't give a complete answer. I don't have full confidence in attaining the fourth transformation within 100 years. You don't have full confidence? Luo Shi wasn't surprised by this answer. The war god art was very difficult to cultivate. In this world, who could say that they had full confidence in cultivating the war god art? A trace of sadness flashed across Luo Shi's eyes. Then, it turned into an incomparably firm belief. He said, "From today onwards, my Luo clan will do our best to help little friend cultivate. Not only will it help little friend cultivate the war god art, but it will also help little friend improve his cultivation base, physical body, and all other realms. Dao crystals, battle crystals, Dao fruits, pills, cultivation methods, and Dao marrow. If little friend needs anything, you can directly go to the vault of my Luo clan to take them. This is a little token of my Luo clan to little friend." As soon as he finished speaking, Luo Shi's Dao sense moved. In the next moment, both of them disappeared from the Guardian Stone Palace and appeared in the forbidden area of the Luo clan's treasure vault. In this treasure vault, the Dao crystals were piled up into 4 mountains. Pills were placed in more than 10 palaces. At the end of those palaces, there was a stretch of Dao soil. Hundreds of towering trees were planted on the Dao soil. My clan still has 4 trillion Dao crystals. It's the family business left by the Battle King in the past. You can take one of the 4 mountains of Dao crystals. The remaining 3 mountains are still of great use to you. However, if you need them, you can also take all of them. As for the rest, I'll think of a way to solve it myself." Luo Shi pointed at the 4 mountains of Dao crystals. His aged voice reverberated in this empty world of the treasure vault for a long time. Ning Fan's eyes widened. Before this, he absolutely did not expect that the Luo clan would be so determined to befriend him with all their might. A mountain of Dao crystals was a total of 1 trillion Dao crystals. 4 mountains of Dao crystals were 4 trillion. If you don't want to take one yourself, I'll help you take one first. Luo Shi suddenly flicked his sleeve. One of the 4 mountains of Dao crystals that stood towering in this world was immediately gone. He kept it into his storage pouch and handed it to Ning Fan. "Do you want the remaining ones?" Luo Shi pointed at the remaining 3 mountains of Dao crystals and asked with a serious expression. The remaining 3 mountains of Dao crystals still needed to be used to set up formations to awaken the Battle King. Even though they were of great use to them, if Ning Fan asks for them, Luo Shi would certainly give them to Ning Fan without hesitation. Don't ask how the Luo clan's 1-star realm cultivators would cultivate without these Dao crystals. This was not within the consideration of any cultivators of the Luo clan, let alone Luo Shi. In order to awaken the Battle King, the Luo clan would do anything. No. There are already enough of them. Since the remaining 3 mountains are still of great use to me, how would I dare to take them without permission? Ning Fan calmed himself down and his thoughts raced. Finally, his eyes flashed with determination and he kept the storage pouch that was filled with Dao crystals. He understood that once he accepted the storage pouch, it meant that he had to fulfill Luo Shi's request with all his might. That was to cultivate the 4th transformation of his battle arts to save the Battle King. He had to treat himself as a member of the Luo clan. He had to treat saving the Battle King as a matter of utmost importance. Ning Fan was not a saint. In front of such great gifts, he would naturally be tempted. However, what really made him decide to help the Luo clan with all his might was not just these great gifts. These 1 trillion Dao crystals contained the sincerity of the Luo clan. This sincerity moved Ning Fan. Luo Shi's eyes were filled with determination to save his master at all costs. This determination moved Ning Fan even more. It was because of this that Ning Fan decided to accept the Dao crystals in the end. Since he had accepted someone's money, he had to help them eliminate their misfortune. From today onwards, saving the combat lord would become an important matter that Ning Fan kept in mind. This was Ning Fan's principle of standing in this world. Seeing Ning Fan hesitate at first and then calmly accept the 1 trillion Dao crystals, Luo Shi immediately revealed a gratified smile. This action showed that Ning Fan had really taken the matter of the Luo clan to heart. With a thought, he brought Ning Fan to the most magnificent pill palace among all the pill palaces in the world of the treasure vault. Inside this palace, there were countless jade shelves and jade boxes filled with pills. All of the pills in the boxes were above the 9th revolution. Most of them were lead-grade pills. There were also some silver-grade and gold-grade pills, but there were not many of them. There was even an emperor-grade medicinal pill. That emperor-grade pill needs to be kept for saving the Battle King. Other than this pill, you can take any of the pills here. Luo Shi said with a serious expression. Ning Fan nodded. This time, he only took 100 or so 9 revolution lead pills, 6 9 revolution silver pills and 1 9 revolution gold pill. The 9 revolution pills were divided into 4 grades: lead, silver, gold and emperor grade. Once the pills entered the 9 revolution realm, there were very few pills that could improve one's cultivation base. The lead grade and silver grade pills that Ning Fan took were all pills that could improve the cultivation base of profound ghost realm cultivators. Other than that, he did not take any other pills. He did not treat the Luo clan courteously, but he did not go overboard either. Just these. Luo Shi was slightly surprised and looked at Ning Fan meaningfully. It's enough. Ning Fan said indifferently. Luo Shi nodded. Then he spread out his Dao sense and brought Ning Fan to another place. His good impression towards Ning Fan had improved once again. This young man isn't a greedy person. It's really rare for him to have such a calm attitude when facing a treasure mountain. This time, Luo Shi brought Ning Fan to the Dao soil at the end of the palace. All of the giant trees were filled with fruits. Ning Fan's expression changed immediately after taking a glance at those fruits. Every single one of those fruits were Dao fruits. They were not Dao fruits that were formed by killing cultivators. Instead, they were grown from the Dao soil. Most of the Dao fruits were just first-step Dao fruits which were useless to Ning Fan. However, there were still many Dao fruits that made Ning Fan's heart beat faster. Ning Fan roughly counted. There were more than 70 Dao fruits of life immortal realm, and all of them had already ripened. There were 15 Dao fruits of truth conversion and 4 Dao fruits of void abandonment. I'll give all the second-step Dao fruits here to you, little friend. What do you think? Luo Shi laughed and flicked his sleeve. All the second-step Dao fruits left the giant trees and fell to the ground. Before they fell to the ground, Luo Shi had already kept all the Dao fruits into a storage pouch and passed it to Ning Fan. Ning Fan remained silent for a while. Then, his eyes turned solemn. He reached out his hand and received the storage pouch. The sincerity of the Luo clan was too great. With these Dao fruits and the pills that he had taken previously, He had no idea how much his cultivation base would increase. Currently, he was a 3 apertures ancient god. The effect of pills and Dao fruits to improve his cultivation base would be 8 times stronger than others. Are you satisfied with the sincerity of the Luo clan, little friend? Luo Shi asked with a smile. How would I dare to be dissatisfied? I should say that I'm starting to regret accepting the Dao crystals. Ning Fan smiled bitterly and shook his head. The gift from the Luo clan was too great. It made Ning Fan a little worried. If he could not cultivate the 4th transformation of his battle art, how should he face the Luo clan? It's too late for you to regret it now. The things have already been taken away. Return them to me. I don't want them anymore. Luo Shi smiled and waved his hand. A stream of battle flames suddenly appeared in front of him and condensed into a fiery red jade slip. This jade slip contains the complete cultivation method of the 4th transformation of my Luo clan's battle art. Little friend, please keep it and study it slowly. As soon as he finished speaking, Luo Shi passed the jade slip to Ning Fan. Then, his expression turned solemn again and he said to Ning Fan, I've already shown the sincerity of my Luo clan to you. I wonder if you can give me a promise at this moment. I don't need you to guarantee that you can cultivate the 4th transformation. Success depends on heaven. That's not something that you can guarantee. I only want you to promise me that you will do your best. Little friend, can you promise me this? Ning Fan kept the storage pouch that was filled with Dao fruits and said to Luo Shi solemnly with cupped fists, I will do my best. Good. Luo Shi smiled satisfactorily. With a thought of his Dao sense, both of them instantly disappeared. This time, the 2 of them did not appear anywhere in the heavenly sea star. Instead, they appeared in a medium-sized world. This place was the most restricted area of the Luo clan, the Dao Marrow secret realm. Only Luo Shi and the 5 Shikong could enter freely. This place was like an ancient and gigantic karst cave. Above it, drops of spiritual liquid were constantly dripping from giant stalactites, gathering into an ocean below. At the center of the ocean below, there were 9 gigantic black cauldrons. Each of the cauldrons was filled with spiraling spiritual qi. After hundreds of thousands of years, these spiraling spiritual qi would gradually turn into drops of blood-red mucus and accumulate in the cauldrons. Those blood-red mucus were called Dao Marrow. They were a type of supreme treasure that could improve the cultivation level of one's physical body. Healing injuries was a piece of cake. At the center of the 9 gigantic cauldrons was a square-shaped sacrificial altar on the ocean. Each of the 4 corners of the sacrificial altar had a copper lamp burning with purple flames. Those purple flames were an extremely terrifying formation that would attack all cultivators who tried to approach the center of the sacrificial altar. At the center of the sacrificial altar, there was a copper coffin. Inside the coffin, there was a black-faced burly man who was in deep sleep. Battle King Luoho. So this is the place where the Battle King sleeps. Ning Fan's eyes flashed. The moment Luo Shi saw the copper coffin, a hint of sadness flashed across his face. He flicked his sleeve and brought Ning Fan to the periphery of the sacrificial altar. Separated by the purple flame formation, he suddenly knelt down and kowtowed to the sleeping Battle King. The corners of his old eyes instantly became moist. Shi Nu greets master. The sleeping Battle King could not hear Luo Shi's voice. However, his tone was still as respectful as before. That year, he was just a devil stone. It was the Battle King Luoho who granted him life. No matter how many years had passed, Luo Shi could never forget every word that Luoho said when he transformed from a spirit stone into a human. The 4 live spirit stone, huh? It's an extremely rare spiritual item. Since we met, it must be fate. Why can't I grant you a new life? From today onwards, you will be my slave. You will be named Shi. Are you willing to follow me to battle for a lifetime? Shi Nu is willing to follow Master to battle for the heavens and earth. That year, Luo Shi, who was still a teenager, bowed to Luoho. This bow meant that he would never abandon his master for the rest of his life. This bow represented the awakening of his master whom he had been waiting for his entire life. Chapter 8:18. Luo Shi's face was filled with nostalgia. He knelt for a long time without getting up. While Luo Shi was kneeling on the ground, Ning Fan was secretly observing the sleeping Battle King. A trace of green light flashed in his eyes. With his eyesight that was as one with heaven, he could vaguely see the chaotic Tao of war on the Battle King's body. It was because of the existence of these chaotic Tao of war that the Battle King could not wake up. These Tao of war were the result of the power of the fourth transformation battle art in the Battle King's body being forcefully dispersed. It was Sen Luo who caused the Battle King to fall unconscious. Sen Luo's attack was merciful. Otherwise, the Battle King would not have just fallen into a deep sleep. Instead, he would have died. If I can get rid of these Tao of war, the Battle King will be able to wake up. However, in order to get rid of these Tao of war, I need the help of a cultivator who has also cultivated the fourth transformation battle art. That's why the Luo clan needs a cultivator who has cultivated the fourth transformation. That's also the reason why they value me so much. Ning Fan withdrew his gaze. He was already 100% sure that there was no conspiracy behind saving the Battle King. As for Luo Shi, his expression turned resolute as he stood up. With a thought, he immediately brought Ning Fan to the side of the first of the 9 black cauldrons. There were a total of 26 drops of blood-red Tao marrow in the first cauldron. This is a low-grade Tao marrow. If you consume a few drops, your physical injuries will be completely healed within a day. However, while the low-grade Tao marrow is good for healing injuries, its effect is only considered ordinary if you want to use it to improve the realm of your physical body. While Luo Shi was explaining, he took out a white jade bottle and kept all the 26 drops of low-grade Tao marrow in the first cauldron. Then, he flew to the second cauldron and kept all the 21 drops of low-grade Tao marrow in it. Then he passed the white jade bottle to Ning Fan. Feeling the vast energy inside the bottle, Ning Fan's eyes flashed with light. Luo Shi's attitude towards the low-grade Tao marrow might seem indifferent, but it was because his cultivation realm was high and his vision was also high. In fact, this low-grade Tao marrow was definitely a supreme treasure to a first-level life immortal realm body cultivator. In the Eastern Heaven immortal world, the price of a drop of low-grade Tao essence was about 1 billion Tao gems. It was not inferior to the life immortal Tao fruit, and it was often in a situation where there was a price but no supply. Even though Ning Fan's injuries were extremely severe, if he consumes a few drops of low-grade Tao marrow, his injuries would be fully healed within a short period of time. With a thought from Luo Shi, the two of them appeared before the third and fourth cauldrons. Luo Shifu took out a green jade bottle and stored the Tao essence in the 2 cauldrons. In these 2 cauldrons, there were a total of 19 drops of mid-grade Tao marrow. The healing effect of a mid-grade Tao marrow is weak, but it's not weak when used to raise the realm of the physical body. After passing the green jade bottle to Ning Fan, Luo Shi led Ning Fan to retrieve the Tao essence from the 5th and 6th cauldrons. This was a high-grade Tao marrow, and there were only 9 drops in total. For body cultivators, the value of a drop of high-grade Tao marrow is comparable to 10 void-abandoning Tao fruits. Luo Shi only gave a brief explanation. Then he passed the purple jade bottle that contained 9 drops of high-grade Tao essence to Ning Fan. In the 7th and 8th cauldrons, there were a total of 3 drops of supreme-grade Tao essence. In the 9th cauldron, there was a fingernail-sized blood-red gem. Luo Shi pointed at the last 3 cauldrons and said to Ning Fan, "The energy contained in the supreme-grade Tao marrow and that marrow crystal far exceeds your cultivation realm. With your current strength, there's no benefit for you to consume them. Instead, it will bring you harm instead. Besides, these items still need to be kept to treat the Battle King. Therefore, I can't give them to you. I hope you can understand." "I understand." Ning Fan kept the 3 pure bottles. He was already extremely satisfied. As for the last spiritual item, he did not have any intention to covet it. As for the last spiritual items, he would need at least a cultivation realm above the void-abandoning realm to refine them. Today's harvest was enough for him to digest for a long time. Tao marrow, Tao fruit, pills, Tao crystal. The Luo clan had given him too many things. Luo Shi's Tao sense moved. He brought Ning Fan out of the Dao Marrow's secret realm and directly appeared outside Ning Fan's cave dwelling. Little friend, please consume some low-grade Dao Marrow and go into seclusion to heal your injuries. I will stand guard outside the pass for little friend. After you've recovered, I'll bring you to another place. Luo Shi's expression suddenly changed halfway through his words. He patted his storage pouch and took out a purple jade sound tablet. After making a hand seal towards the sound tablet and listening to the voice transmission, Luo Shi's expression immediately turned solemn and apologetically said to Ning Fan, "I'm sorry. The Godly Void Pavilion is urging me to return as soon as possible. The restoration of the heaven-suppressing bell is of great importance. I'm afraid I can't bring you to that place. This is little friend's Tomb Keeper token. It is enough to prove your identity. If you have the time, you can go to Ghost Weapon Sect and look for Ghost Weapon Old Ancestor to make the star-defying devil armor. This old man has already informed Ghost Weapon Old Ancestor before. He owes me a favor and is willing to make a devil armor for you." Luo Shi took out the token and a storage pouch and passed them to Ning Fan. After briefly explaining to Ning Fan, he hurriedly sent out his spirit sense to the 5 void-abandoning realm experts of the Luo clan and left the Broken Halberd Peak without a trace. After Luo Shi left, Ning Fan scanned the storage pouch with his spirit sense. After pondering for a moment, he kept the pouch. This storage pouch contained all the fragments of the star-defying boulder that he had destroyed that day. Even though the star-defying boulder was broken, it could still be smelted and used to forge the star-defying devil armor. Luo Shi told Ning Fan that there was only one person who knew how to forge the star-defying devil armor in the entire Eastern Sea Star region. He was the sect master of the Ghost Weapon Sect, an 8th-grade sect in the Eastern Sea. People called him the Old Ancestor of the Ghost Weapon Sect, and he had an early void-abandoning realm cultivation base. The Ghost Weapon Sect was a treasure refinement sect, and the Old Ancestor of the Ghost Weapon Sect was a senior figure in the world of treasure refinement. His treasure refinement technique was superb. Even some thought-shattering old monsters in the Eastern Heaven Immortal world would occasionally visit him and ask him to forge their magic treasures and divine weapons. Unfortunately, the Old Ancestor of the Ghost Weapon Sect had an eccentric personality. No matter how high the cultivation base of the visitor was, he would not forge a magic treasure for the visitor as long as he disliked the visitor. Because of his personality, he had offended many thought-shattering old monsters. However, because he had a powerful immortal king as his backer, no one dared to do anything to him even if they were dissatisfied with him. The Old Ancestor of the Ghost Weapon Sect once owed Luo Shi a favor. 3 days ago, Luo Shi sent a message to him, hoping that he could forge a star-defying devil armor for him. He had already agreed. Luo Shi's original intention was to bring Ning Fan to the Ghost Weapon Sect personally. Unfortunately, something came up and he had no choice but to leave first. Forging the star-defying devil armor? Ning Fan's eyes flickered. If he could forge a star-defying devil armor, he would not mind going to the Ghost Weapon Sect alone. However, before that, he still had other things to attend to. Luo Shi was in seclusion, trying to break through to the late Ghost Profound Realm with a drop of diluted Dao Marrow. Wang Meng was also in seclusion, using his years of accumulation to heal his injuries. Ning Fan also needed to go into seclusion. Not only did he need to heal his injuries, but he also needed to borrow countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures to improve his cultivation base. His magic power cultivation base and his ancient devil cultivation base. As soon as he returned to his cave residence, Ning Fan immediately went into the profound Yin world and consumed a drop of low-grade Dao Marrow. Ning Fan spent half a day refining that drop of low-grade Dao Marrow. After half a day, the severe injuries on his body had almost healed by half. What a shocking healing effect! Ning Fan's eyes lit up. He consumed another drop of Dao Marrow and rapidly refined it. Half a day later, all of his injuries were completely healed. The healing effect of the low-grade Dao Marrow was extremely good. Besides, after refining 2 drops of Dao Marrow, Ning Fan could clearly feel that his ancient devil cultivation base that had just broken through to the next level had improved once again. After pondering for a moment, He seemed to have made up his mind. He placed the white jade bottle in front of him and continuously extracted drops of low-grade Dao marrow from it and began to refine them. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, on the 24th day, Ning Fan opened his eyes. He had already refined all 47 drops of low-grade Dao marrow. With the power of the 47 drops of low-grade Dao marrow, his ancient devil cultivation base had actually advanced by more than 1/3 towards the 6th heavenly layer of the ruling star realm. This is just a low-grade Dao marrow. If it's a mid-grade Dao marrow, Ning Fan's eyes flashed slightly. He took out another green jade bottle. There were a total of 19 drops of mid-grade Dao marrow in this green jade bottle. Ning Fan bent his palm and summoned a drop of mid-grade Dao marrow. He swallowed it and refined it bit by bit. It took him 10 days to refine a single drop of mid-grade Dao marrow. However, the energy contained in this drop of mid-grade Dao marrow was more than 10 times that of a low-grade Dao marrow. 4 months later, Ning Fan refined the 12th drop of mid-grade Dao marrow. On this day, his ancient devil cultivation base broke through to the 6th heavenly layer of the ruling star realm. Another 2.5 months passed. Ning Fan had already consumed the remaining 7 drops of mid-grade Dao marrow. Currently, his ancient devil cultivation base had already advanced 1/10 towards the 7th heavenly layer of the ruling star realm. At this moment, there were still 9 drops of high-grade Dao marrow in Ning Fan's hands. They were placed inside the purple jade bottle. After stabilizing his ancient devil cultivation base, Ning Fan immediately began to refine the high-grade Dao marrow. Refining the first drop of high-grade Dao marrow directly took Ning Fan 1 month. Moreover, this speed was only achieved by relying on the profound Yin world's amplification. 3 months later, Ning Fan refined the 3rd drop of high-grade Dao marrow. His ancient devil cultivation base naturally broke through to the 8th heavenly layer of the ruling star realm. Another 6 months passed. Ning Fan had completely refined all the high-grade Dao marrow. His ancient devil cultivation base had already reached the peak of the ruling star realm. On the ground of the profound Yin world stood a 100,000 zhang tall devil god. His body was constantly emitting extremely terrifying aura force. This was an ancient devil whose cultivation base had reached the peak of the ruling star realm. With just the strength of his physical body, he could rival an early true crossing realm old monster. After the ruling star realm, it would be the heavenly devil. The heavenly devil is an existence that is equivalent to the true crossing realm. I'm still a distance away from becoming a heavenly devil. As soon as he finished speaking, the giant ancient devil's eyes flickered and he turned back into his white robes. He was none other than Ning Fan. He had already consumed all the Dao marrow. As for his physical body, he had also cultivated to the peak of the ruling star realm. The current strength of his physical body was enough to withstand all magic treasures and abilities below the true crossing realm. With his dual cultivation of magic and body, Ning Fan could definitely be considered as a strong expert within the early true crossing realm. This is just the improvement of my ancient devil cultivation base. After that, it's my magic power. Ning Fan adjusted his breathing in the profound Yin world for a few days. Then, he began to refine pills one after another. He was a 3 apertures ancient god. Consuming a pill was equivalent to others consuming 8 pills. After 6 months, Ning Fan had refined a total of 122 9 transformations lead pills. However, his cultivation base only advanced by 1/5 from the late ghost profound realm. 3 months later, Ning Fan had refined all the silver pills and gold pills in his hands. However, there was still a huge gap between him and the late ghost profound realm. The effect of these pills is a little lacking. Ning Fan was slightly disappointed. After adjusting his breathing, he began to refine the life immortal Dao fruits. There were a total of 74 life immortal Dao fruits. Among them, the human Dao fruits were slightly worse, with 62 of them. The ghost Dao fruits were slightly better, with 12 of them. A year later, Ning Fan had refined all the Dao fruits. However, he was still a little bit away from the late ghost profound realm. Another year passed. Ning Fan had refined all the truth purification Dao fruits, including the ones he had obtained previously. Currently, he had broken through the late Ghost Profound realm and was 1/6 closer to the peak Ghost Profound realm. Currently, there were only 4 void-shedding Tao fruits left in his storage pouch. With my 3 apertures ancient god body, I can only refine these Tao fruits to this extent. If it's someone else, I'm afraid the effect would be even worse. However, if I can refine these 4 void-shedding Tao fruits, it won't be difficult for me to break through to the peak Ghost Profound realm in one go. Ning Fan's eyes were resolute. He raised his hand to grab the first void-shedding Tao fruit and began to refine it. It took him a year to refine it. After refining the first fruit, Ning Fan began to refine the second one, the third one, the fourth one. At the moment when all the void-shedding Tao fruits were refined, an extremely powerful magical force spread out from Ning Fan's body. It turned into a huge wind dragon and soared to the sky. At this moment, the bottleneck of the peak Ghost Profound realm was broken through. Finally, I've reached the peak Ghost Profound realm. Ning Fan suddenly stood up. His aura soared to the sky. This aura was even stronger than most of the early Crossing Truth cultivators. Although his cultivation realm was at the peak Ghost Profound realm, the total amount of magical force in his body had almost reached the peak of the early Crossing Truth realm. At this moment, Ning Fan's combat strength was almost comparable to an intermediate Crossing Truth cultivator under the dual cultivation of Body Immortal Dual Cultivation. And this was without using his trump card. After completely stabilizing his cultivation base, Ning Fan left the Profound Een world in a flash. It had been 8 years since he had entered the Profound Een world. For second-step cultivators, 8 years was too short. It was just a short period of seclusion. However, during these 8 years, Ning Fan's cultivation base had skyrocketed thanks to the countless fortuitous encounters of the Luo clan. His magic power had advanced by 2 levels, reaching the peak of the Spirit Xian realm. The Ancient Devil's cultivation had advanced 4 levels, reaching the peak of the 8th firmament of Si Chen. In another 2 years, the Ancient Tomb competition will begin. I haven't obtained the inheritance of Ancient Chaos, the star-defying devil armor, and the first transformation of the war god art. Ning Fan's face was filled with shame. The Luo clan had treated him so well and helped him improve his cultivation base greatly. If he didn't cultivate the war god art well, how could he be worthy of their generous gifts? Ning Fan took out the battle crystals that were piled up like a mountain and sat cross-legged in the cave. His mind gradually merged with the battle intent of Broken Halberd Mountain. 3 months later, the number of natal battle fires in his body had increased to 9. It was only now that he had truly mastered the first transformation of the battle art. However, if he wants to master the second transformation, the number of natal battle fires would at least reach 99. Moreover, he had once again reached the limit of natal battle crystals during this cultivation. He needed a battle to achieve a breakthrough. Now that he was already a tomb keeper, he could go to the 4th to 6th floors of the Divine Tomb at any time if he wanted to fight. He could even enter the last 3 floors to search for the inheritance of Ancient Chaos. Along the way, he could also go to the Ghost Weapon Sect and hand over the fragment of the immemorial star-defying devil armor to the old ancestor of the Ghost Weapon Sect so that he could refine the star-defying devil armor. With this plan, Ning Fan removed the formation and walked out of the cave. As soon as he walked out of the cave, he saw Wang Meng standing outside with a face full of smiles. Wang Meng greets Master. Master has been in seclusion for 8 years. During these 8 years, you must have reached the limit of natal battle crystals again. Do you need me to accompany you in battle to help you break through the bottleneck? When he said this, Wang Meng's face was filled with a respectful smile. However, Ning Fan could still see a hint of complacency from the corner of his eyes. Oh? Interesting. That day, you were severely injured by me but you still have the courage to fight me? Ning Fan looked at Wang Meng meaningfully. Green light flickered in his eyes. With his eyesight that was as good as the union of heaven and man, Wang Meng was almost naked in front of him without any secrets. After 8 years, this Wang Meng had actually stepped into the Crossing Truth realm in a low-key manner. Moreover, the number of war flames in his body had already reached 99. Not only did his cultivation base increase tremendously, but he had also cultivated to the second transformation of the war god. However, the current Wang Meng was deliberately hiding the number of war flames in his body and suppressing the qi of his cultivation base, afraid that Ning Fan would see through his intentions. Although his face was smiling, his heart was eager to have a battle with Ning Fan. During these 8 years, he had lived an extremely happy life. No one would have thought that after Wang Meng was brutally beaten by Ning Fan, he seemed to have gained a great understanding of the word fight. He even had his own understanding of the word fight. Battle. What is battle? Battle is a fight. In a fight, one must not only know how to hit others but also know how to be beaten. Knowing how to be beaten would reduce injuries. Knowing how to be beaten would save one's life. This was all the insights that Wang Meng had gained after being beaten up by Ning Fan's one-on-one. What a painful insight, however. This insight opened up a new path and gave him a new interpretation of the word battle. Battle, not only must one know how to attack, one must also know how to defend. With this insight, Wang Meng actually broke through the bottleneck of the second transformation of the war god and successfully cultivated it. Borrowing this momentum, he once again stepped onto the true bridge. For the 4th time in his life, he stepped onto the true bridge and crossed it. The word crossing referred to stepping on the true bridge and crossing the long river of the Great Tao. Any cultivator would only have 9 chances to fail on the true bridge in their life, hence the name 9 crossing true bridges. If a peak ghost profound cultivator failed to break through the true bridge 9 times in a row, he would never have another chance to break through the true bridge in his life. Every time a true immortal of the true bridge broke through a small realm, he would have to cross the true bridge again. If an early true crossing realm cultivator failed 8 times on the true bridge before breaking through to the true crossing realm, he would only have 1 chance to fail. If he succeeded, he would break through to the intermediate true crossing realm. If he failed, he would be stuck at his current realm forever. This was the cruelty of the true crossing realm. Everyone only had 9 chances to fail, and they must break through to the shedding void realm before failing all 9 times. Unfortunately, the difficulty of crossing the true bridge was extremely high. Only 1 out of 100 people would succeed. Therefore, there were only a few true immortals who succeeded in crossing the true crossing realm. There were many cultivators who were stuck at the true crossing realm for their entire life. Let's not talk about Wang Meng anymore. Wang Meng's innate talent was only average. He had been relying on the 8 extremities combat physique to cultivate until now. The first time he suffered a setback was in front of Ning Fan. He lost all his face and was beaten mercilessly. It was this beating that enlightened Wang Meng. He who failed to cross the true crossing realm 4 times did not fail on his 5th attempt. Instead, he succeeded and stepped into the true crossing realm. Breaking through to the second transformation of his battle art and breaking through to the true crossing realm was a blessing in disguise. Naturally, he was extremely happy. These 8 years were the best 8 years of his life. The only thing that made him slightly unhappy was the restrictive spell in his sea of consciousness. It wasn't easy for him to become a true immortal old monster and cultivate the second transformation of his battle art. He was supposed to be famous in a region, but he couldn't get rid of his identity as Ning Fan's servant. Ever since he succeeded in crossing the true crossing realm, Wang Meng had been keeping a low profile. He kept the matter of his breakthrough a secret. Every day, he would wait outside of Ning Fan's cave, waiting for Ning Fan to come out of seclusion, hoping to have a battle with him. With my current early true crossing realm cultivation base and the second transformation of the war god, my strength can be considered as above average in the entire early true crossing realm. As long as Ning Fan doesn't use that punch that day, he might not be able to defeat me. During these 8 years, I have thought about it repeatedly. The punch that day might just be a coincidence. I'm afraid that I won't be able to use it a second time. If that's the case, I might not lose to him in a battle. If we fight again, I will naturally make an agreement with him. If I win, he must remove the restrictive spell in my sea of consciousness and return my freedom. He doesn't know that I have already broken through to the second transformation of the true crossing realm. Due to his arrogance, there's a high chance that he will agree to my condition. If I win him, I can remove the restrictive spell in one go. From then on, I will be like a fish in the sea, and walk proudly in the eastern heaven. If I lose to him, perhaps, I will be able to receive another beating and comprehend something. Perhaps, my strength will improve tremendously. Wang Meng's mind was racing, but his face was still full of smiles. Ning Fan was a wise man. Although he didn't know the specific thoughts of Wang Meng, he could vaguely guess that Wang Meng was disloyal because his cultivation base had improved tremendously. If Master needs someone to accompany you in the battle, I am willing to recommend myself. However, I want to make a bet with Master. If I win, Master must remove the restrictive spell on me. Of course, my cultivation base is low. How could I be a match for Master? I will most likely lose this bet. Wang Meng's every word was spoken in a respectful tone. Occasionally, his eyes would purposely reveal a hint of admiration. Those who didn't know would think that he was very respectful towards his master. The bet? I don't have any opinion on it. But if you lose, what else can you give me? Ning Fan smiled faintly and looked at Wang Meng. No matter how one looked at it, that smile was somewhat horrifying. What if I lose? Wang Meng was startled. He had never thought of this question before. If you lose, I want one of your hands. Do you dare to fight? Ning Fan's expression suddenly became stern. Although Wang Meng was picked up from the streets, but since he had a disloyal heart, he must be punished. Chapter 8:19. One hand. Looking at Ning Fan's creepy smile, Wang Meng suddenly felt a chill from his feet to the top of his head. Logically speaking, losing a hand was just a small matter for someone with his cultivation base. It wasn't difficult to regrow it, so this bet wasn't too big. But at this moment, Wang Meng suddenly had an intuition that if he accepted this bet and fought with Ning Fan, he would regret it for the rest of his life. Perhaps, Ning Fan had a way to make him lose one of his hands forever. If the injury was caused by the Dao Law, he wouldn't be able to regrow his arm with his current cultivation base. That day, this malefic star destroyed the entire Violet Silk City with a single punch. The reason why it was so difficult to stop the collapse was because of the Dao Law that was triggered by his divine ability. He probably won't be able to use that punch again. That time should be a coincidence, but what if he can use that punch again? Wang Meng swallowed his saliva. His initial determination to fight Ning Fan was shaken at this moment. For a moment, he didn't dare to accept the challenge. How about it? Do you dare to accept this bet? Ning Fan's eyes squinted slightly. Indistinctly, there was a heavy aura as heavy as a mountain. Wang Meng's heart shuddered for no reason. After 8 years, Ning Fan gave him a feeling of invincibility. He had only felt this kind of feeling from some intermediate Dujin old monsters before. A feeling of trepidation suddenly rose in his heart, causing him to recall the Violet Silk City that was destroyed by Ning Fan's punch 8 years ago. All of his determination crumbled at this moment. All of his beliefs collapsed at this moment. When he regained his senses, Wang Meng realized that his back was soaked with cold sweat. He calmed himself down, took a deep breath and made up his mind. I've thought about it carefully. I think it's better to give up on this bet. Wang Meng lowered his head and said with a smile. You don't want to bet? Then, do you still want to fight me? I think it's better not to fight. I observed the stars last night and found that 3 of them were dark and 1 was bright. I'm afraid it's not suitable for a fight today. Cough, cough, cough. If Master doesn't have any other instructions, I'll return to the cave first. Wang Meng laughed dryly and turned around to leave. Ning Fan, on the other hand, let out a cold harumph. A wave of devil might that was a combination of magic power, essence chi and baleful chi immediately pressed down on the place where Wang Meng was standing. Immediately, Wang Meng felt as if the entire sky was pressing down on him. He lifted his foot slightly, but it was extremely difficult for him to take a step forward. It's been 8 years. How did his pressure increase so much? Wang Meng abruptly turned his head and looked at Ning Fan in disbelief. A black and white light flashed in Ning Fan's eyes. In an instant, Wang Meng's vision darkened. His body seemed to have lost its soul, and he could no longer move. In the world of his mind, the entire world had turned into a dark night. In this boundless dark sky, 7 snow-white stars gradually appeared, like the Big Dipper formation. The 7 stars suddenly merged, and under the starlight, a young man in white slowly appeared. He stood quietly in the boundless night, his eyes as cold as ice that would never melt. This was what Wang Meng saw at that moment. Dao image. You actually used the power of the elephant to invade my mind world. What do you want to do? Wang Meng's expression changed drastically. All of a sudden, he saw Ning Fan raising his hand and pointing his finger at the boundless night sky. The image of an 8-armed demon god immediately appeared between heaven and earth. Wang Meng's expression turned into one of fear the moment he saw the figure. The image of the 8-armed demon god was taken from the 8 extremities combat physique. It was none other than his Dao image. Ning Fan raised one of his hands and made a grabbing motion. Immediately, one of the arms of the 8-armed Dao elephant that had yet to fully materialize began to crack. A Du Zhen cultivator must have his own Dao. He must also have his own Dao image. If one's physical body was destroyed, it was easy to repair. Even if one was injured by Dao laws, it was not impossible to heal. However, once the Dao image was damaged, it would be extremely difficult to repair. Once it was completely destroyed, it could no longer be cultivated. Moreover, if the Dao image of a cultivator in the Duzhen realm was destroyed, he would directly fall from the Duzhen realm, and he would never be able to step into the Duzhen realm again in this lifetime. I understand. You said you wanted one of my hands. You actually want the hand of a Taoist elephant. You want to destroy my Dao image. You want to make me fall into the Duzhen realm forever. Wang Meng's face was filled with panic. He wanted to break free from this mental world, but he could not do it no matter how hard he tried. He wanted to retract the 8-armed demon god and the Dao image, but he realized that he could not do it at all. His body felt like it was being suppressed by thousands of great Daos. He could not move at all in this mental world. He could only watch as the cracks on one of the 8-armed Dao elephant's arms increased, and it was getting closer to destruction. Master, stop it now. Don't destroy my Dao image. I deserve to die. I shouldn't have played such petty tricks. I know I'm wrong. Wang Meng's body was trembling and he immediately begged. At this moment, Wang Meng already understood everything. Ning Fan had seen through his Duzhen realm at first glance, and he had also seen through all of his petty tricks. That was why Ning Fan wanted to punish him. And the method of punishment was to destroy one of his Dao image's arms. If this arm was destroyed, with Wang Meng's unstable Duzhen realm, it was extremely likely that he would directly fall from the Duzhen realm. Wang Meng, your decision today is very wise. If you dare to betray me, you won't be able to keep this arm. You won't be able to keep your life either. Ning Fan said coldly. However, he stopped in time to prevent Wang Meng's Dao elephant arm from being destroyed. As soon as he kept his Dao image, both of them left Wang Meng's mental world at the same time and returned to the outside world. In the outside world, Wang Meng's face was already as pale as a piece of paper. As soon as he returned to the outside world, he immediately fell to the ground and coughed out a mouthful of black blood. Even though his Dao image was not destroyed, it was damaged by Ning Fan. There were countless cracks on it. It would be extremely difficult to repair it. However, his eyes did not dare to show any resentment. He took a deep breath and struggled to stand up. His expression when he looked at Ning Fan was filled with respect. Thank you for showing mercy, Master. Wang Meng addressed Ning Fan as Master, with extreme respect. Half of it was because of fear and the other half was because he was convinced. Ning Fan's method of invading his mental world and destroying his Dao image had terrified him. Among the cultivators at the Duzhen realm and above, only those who were a few times stronger than their opponents could easily borrow the power of their Dao image to invade the minds of others. Only those cultivators who had incomparably powerful Dao images could destroy the Dao images of others. Without a doubt, Ning Fan's strength had improved tremendously during these 8 years. Wang Meng could not be compared to him at all. That was why he could invade Wang Meng's mental world. Without a doubt, Ning Fan's Dao image must be incomparably powerful. Otherwise, even if Wang Meng's Dao image was not stable, he wouldn't be defenseless and could only watch his Dao image being destroyed bit by bit. This man's current strength is definitely a few times stronger than mine. It's as easy as flipping his hand if he wants to kill me. If he wants to destroy my Dao image, he can also do it with a flick of his finger. Previously, I thought that I would have the strength to fight against him after breaking through to the next realm. My cultivation base has improved, but his cultivation base has also improved. That was what Wang Meng was thinking at the moment. At this moment, he felt regretful and fortunate at the same time. He regretted his disloyalty and felt fortunate that he gave up on the bet at the last moment. Otherwise, he dared not imagine what kind of consequences he would face. It would be considered a light punishment if his Dao image was destroyed. With Ning Fan's ruthless character, he would probably activate the restrictive spell to take his life. I won't allow what happened today to happen a third time. Do you understand? Ning Fan said coldly. I understand. I understand. Wang Meng immediately broke out in cold sweat and nodded repeatedly. That's right. He had already provoked Ning Fan twice. If there's a third time, he did not dare to imagine the consequences. I'm going to leave the heavenly sea star for a few days. There's something I need you to do for me. I hope you won't disappoint me again. As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Fan passed a jade slip to Wang Meng. Wang Meng scanned through the contents of the jade slip with his spirit sense and immediately cupped his fists. Don't worry, Master. I will certainly gather enough information about this matter before you return. Ning Fan nodded his head in satisfaction. With a leap, he flew away from the heavenly sea star. Even if Wang Meng did not come looking for trouble today, he would also take the initiative to find him and ask him to investigate this matter. Now that he has given Wang Meng a warning, he would certainly try his best to complete the task. What Ning Fan wanted to investigate was all the information about Lightning Emperor Tai Su and the true Lightning World. Lightning Emperor Tai Su had fallen 50 million years ago. There was very little information about him in the Eastern Heaven Immortal World. When he became famous, he seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. No one knew where he came from. Ning Fan was the only one who knew that Lightning Emperor Tai Su's hometown was in the true Lightning World. However, he was not sure where the true Lightning World was. Lightning Emperor Tai Su had once sacrificed his Dao destruction to save Ning Fan and asked him to save the true Lightning World. Ning Fan had never forgotten about this matter. Lightning Emperor Tai Su had also given Ning Fan a star map. However, that star map was not an astrolabe and it could not directly guide him to the right direction. The star region on the star map looked very unfamiliar. Ning Fan did not know where exactly the true Lightning World was located in the Eastern Heaven Immortal World. That was why he thought of asking Wang Meng, his cheap servant, to investigate it. He would eventually go to the true Thunder World. He would definitely do what he had promised. Hiss. Why does Master want to investigate the information of Lightning Emperor Tai Su? Could it be that he also wants the Lightning Emperor's relic? Only after Ning Fan left did Wang Meng let out a cold breath. Thunder Emperor Tai Su had fallen for countless years, but there were not many cultivators in Eastern Sky who remembered this heavenly emperor. However, in Wang Meng's hometown, there would occasionally be cultivators talking about Lightning Emperor Tai Su's past. His hometown was a place called the 3000 Thunder Realm. Lightning Emperor Tai Su had lived in seclusion in the 3000 Thunder Realm for countless years. However, more than 100 years ago, many old monsters suddenly appeared in the 3000 Thunder Realm. Not only were there cultivators from the Eastern Heaven, but there were also cultivators from the other three heavens. Sometimes, there were even cultivators from the secret races. These old monsters would ask for information about Lightning Emperor Tai Su whenever they meet someone. They even dug 3 feet deep into the 3000 Thunder Realm in search of something. It was said that they were looking for the relic of the Lightning Emperor in the 3000 Thunder Realm. What was the relic of the Lightning Emperor? With Wang Meng's cultivation base, he was not qualified to know. However, when Ning Fan asked him to investigate the information of Lightning Emperor Tai Su, he inwardly guessed that Ning Fan was also going for the legendary relic of the Lightning Emperor. Sigh. What does it have to do with me whether this person is looking for the relic of the Lightning Emperor or not? I just need to do my part and help him investigate this information. Wang Meng let out a sigh and kept the jade slip. When he thought of Ning Fan's strength, he still felt a lingering fear in his heart. I better behave myself in the future and don't provoke this person. The Een Moon star was a high-grade cultivation star in the Eastern Heaven Immortal world. This star was quite famous in the entire Eastern Heaven Immortal world. On this star, there was a weapon refinement sect called the Ghost Weapon Sect. The old ancestor of the Ghost Weapons sect lived up to his name. The magic treasures and divine weapons he refined were all earth-shattering items. The old ancestor of the Ghost Weapons sect had a total of 14 disciples in his life. All of them were the grandmasters of weapon refinement in the Eastern Heaven Immortal world. People called them the 14 military masters. Each of them occupied a large spiritual vein on the Een Moon star which was used for cultivation and weapon refinement. Each of the 14 military masters also had their own disciples and their weapon refinement techniques were not weak. Every day, many cultivators of the Eastern Heaven would come to the Een Moon star to purchase magic treasures. There were also many old monsters who came from afar to ask the 14 military masters to refine their magic treasures and divine weapons. There were very few people who could ask the old ancestor of the Ghost Weapon sect to personally refine their magic treasures. Even Shi Kong and Xiao Nian Old Monster were often rejected at the door of the old ancestor of the Ghost Weapon sect. Ning Fan held the star compass in his hand and flew all the way to the Een Moon star. When he arrived, he kept the rainbow light and immediately descended towards a devil sea on the star. This devil sea was called the Lunar Calamity Sea. It was the place with the best spiritual chi on the Een Moon star. At the center of the Lunar Calamity Sea was a devil mountain which was where the Ghost Weapon sect was located. The Lunar Calamity Sea was covered with gloomy mist all year round. Cultivators below the True Crossing realm would not dare to fly over the Devil Sea at all. They must have the special magic treasures of the Ghost Weapon sect to protect themselves. Otherwise, once they come into contact with the mist, they would immediately die from the penetration of the Yin Qi. Above this Devil Sea, there were 4 rogue immortals carrying a gigantic iron palanquin. At the same time, they were cautiously activating their magic treasures to protect themselves while advancing towards the Ghost Weapon sect. Inside the iron palanquin sat an elderly man in yellow robes who was emitting gloomy qi. His cultivation base was at the mid-human profound realm. The baleful qi on his body was extremely dense. His cultivation base was just a step away from breaking through to the late human profound realm. He sat cross-legged in the iron palanquin and circulated his cultivation base, silently absorbing the Yin Qi in this place for cultivation. Gradually, the traces of Yin Qi turned into lumps of bright yellow poisonous miasma which hovered around his body. The poisonous miasma gave off a faint fragrance of pear blossoms which carried a great destructive power. Not many people at the mid-human profound realm could withstand the poisonous miasma attack of the elderly man. The plague technique given by Master is indeed very mysterious. If I can master this technique, I will be able to break through to the late human profound realm in no time. He was very close to absorbing the Yin Qi and breaking through the bottleneck. A sinister smile gradually appeared on the elderly man's face. Once I break through to the late human profound realm, I will seek revenge on that Shui Kongzi. In the past, he killed his way to the Seven Fiends sect and severely injured me. I still remember this hatred in my heart. The elderly man had reached the critical moment of absorbing the Yin Qi. Suddenly, a fearless rainbow swept across the Lunar Calamity Sea, dispersing all the dense mist and Yin Qi in this place. The speed of that light was only equivalent to the void fragmentation realm. The elderly man was at the critical moment of his cultivation. When the Yin Qi dispersed all of a sudden, he immediately suffered a backlash from his cultivation method. He coughed out a mouthful of blood and said angrily, "How dare a mere void fragmentation realm kid run amok in this place and disturb my cultivation? You're courting death." The moment the elderly man roared, the eyes of the 4 rogue immortals who were carrying the palanquin were filled with killing intent. They took out their magic treasures at the same time and ruthlessly slashed at the void fragmentation realm light while sneering. Since you've disturbed the cultivation of the old ancestor of the Seven Fiend sect, you'll have to pay with your life. The sharp light from the four rogue immortals' magic treasures tore apart the Yin Qi and slashed at the owner of the void fragmentation realm light. The owner of the light was a white-robed young man. His eyes turned fierce. He opened his mouth and swallowed all the four rogue immortals' magic treasures into his stomach. Then he said coldly, "Seven Fiend sect, I didn't expect to meet an old friend here." As he said the word, "old friend," the white-robed young man's eyes were filled with killing intent. He was just deliberately slowing down and taking the opportunity to spread out his spirit sense to check the number of experts in the Lunar Calamity Sea. He didn't expect to meet his former enemy unexpectedly and be attacked by him. What an ill-fated relationship. This man swallowed our magic treasures. He's actually a second-step senior. The four rogue immortals of the Seven Fiend sect immediately revealed a look of fear. A yellow-robed old man immediately flew out from the iron palanquin. His expression was extremely solemn. He spread out his spirit sense, trying to find out the true cultivation base of the white-robed young man. However, he couldn't see through his true cultivation base. There's no need to check. My cultivation base isn't something that you can see through. I only have one question. Are you really the sect master of the Seven Fiend sect? The white-robed young man asked coldly. That's right. I'm the sect master of the Seven Fiend sect. What do you want, fellow Taoist? The yellow-robed old man's eyes turned cold. He could already see a trace of killing intent in the white-robed young man's eyes. If that's the case, you can die now. The killing intent in Ning Fan's eyes reached its peak at this moment. He waved his hand and directly grabbed the yellow-robed old ancestor. The force of his grab immediately turned into a gigantic devil claw that tore at the yellow-robed old man. That year, the Seven Fiend sect put a bounty of 30 million on his head. Later on, another bounty of 10 billion was placed on his head. He was hunted by countless people. He had never forgotten about that. All of a sudden, the yellow-robed old man's face turned pale with fright. The force of that grab was enough to easily tear apart any life immortal realm cultivator. It wasn't something that a mere human profound realm cultivator like him could resist. Who are you? Why do you have to? Before he could finish his words, it had already turned into a miserable shriek. Chapter 8:20. Who else could this white-robed young man be other than Ning Fan? With Ning Fan's current cultivation base, he only needed to casually grab and it immediately turned into a gigantic devil claw, almost tearing the great momentum of heaven and earth apart. Before the yellow-robed old man could finish his words, he was already torn into countless pieces by Ning Fan's claw. His physical body exploded into a rain of blood, sprinkling in the sky above the Devil Sea. Only one primordial spirit survived, but it was also on the verge of death. It was forcefully pulled into Ning Fan's hand. It looked at Ning Fan with extreme fear and stuttered. "Who are you? Why do you want to kill me?" With the yellow-robed old man's eyesight, he could naturally see that Ning Fan's killing intent wasn't because of his four rogue immortal subordinates. That killing intent was for revenge. That killing intent had been accumulated for many years. However, the yellow-robed old man couldn't remember when he had offended such a powerful old monster. A single strike was enough to destroy everything he had. Such strength had definitely reached the Duzhen realm. This person is definitely an old monster Duzhen. I've never offended any old monster Duzhen in my life. None of the people I've killed in my life were as senior as Duzhen. Why does this person want to kill me? The yellow-robed old man couldn't understand where Ning Fan's killing intent came from. Ning Fan sneered while looking at the terrified primordial spirit in his hand. He patted his storage pouch and took out an old and tattered wanted order and showed it to the old man. When the old man's eyes swept across the wanted order, his memory was immediately awakened. His eyes were wide open because he was too shocked. He looked at Ning Fan and his body trembled. "It's you. It's actually you." No wonder you have such hatred towards me. It's you. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. You were just a void fragmentation realm cultivator in the past. Even if you joined the Slaughter Palace later on, it's impossible for you to reach the Dujin realm in just 100 years. It's fake. This is all fake. I don't believe it. A strong sense of regret flashed in the yellow-robed old man's eyes. Although he said that he didn't believe it, his heart was 100% convinced that the white-robed young man in front of him was Ning Fan. He had once set a bounty of 30 million Dao crystals on Ning Fan and personally led a group of people to hunt him down. Later on, he was severely injured by Shui Kongzi. Only then did he stop the hunt. He had once received an order from an expert of the Pill Ancestor realm to place a bounty on Ning Fan's head once again. This time, it was 10 billion. However, what disappointed him was that even the reward of 10 billion yuan could not kill Ning Fan. What shocked him even more was that Ning Fan had slaughtered 100 immortals in the Yao Sect Star region. In the end, he even defeated countless Eastern Heavens geniuses and joined the Slaughter Palace. Today, he, the dignified sect master of the Seven Evil Sect, was finally going to die in the hands of that void fragmentation realm kid in the past, completely defenseless. If he knew that such a day would come, he would not have chosen to be Ning Fan's enemy. His eyes were filled with regret, but after that regret, he gradually became crazy. You can't kill me. The current me, without giving the yellow-robed elderly man any more chances to speak, Ning Fan clenched his fist fiercely, directly crushing the primordial spirit in his hand into a mist of blood. His icy gaze swept across the remaining 4-7 Fiend Sect loose immortals. Not good. The 4-7 Fiend Sect loose immortals were immediately scared out of their wits. They tossed the iron palanquin aside and fled without hesitation. Ning Fan was an old monster who could kill a profound life immortal realm expert with a single strike. How could they be his match? Moreover, they also saw the wanted poster and recalled the events of the past. That year, they had also chased after Ning Fan to kill him. There was certainly no reason for Ning Fan to let them go. Ning Fan gently closed his eyes and did not look at the 4 fleeing loose immortals. When the 4 loose immortals saw this, they thought that Ning Fan had the intention to let them go. All of them were overjoyed. However, at the next moment, 4 cracks suddenly appeared in heaven and earth. 4 illusory sword lights flew out from the cracks. The 4 swords slashed down and immediately killed the 4 loose immortals. Ning Fan did not even bother to keep the storage pouches of the 4 loose immortals. He only held the storage pouch of the sect master of the 7 Fiend Sect in his hand. After scanning it with his spirit sense, he did not find anything that he was interested in. He only kept the Dao crystal and burned everything else with his devil flames. There was not a hint of joy on his face. To him, killing people was not a joyful thing. However, his way of doing things had always been to distinguish between gratitude and grudges. Since there was a blood feud between them, it was impossible for him to be magnanimous and let them go. The sect master of the 7 Fiend Sect is already dead. However, the shadow of the Pill Sect was once behind the 7 Fiend Sect. In the past, even though the bounty of 10 billion was issued in the name of the 7 Fiend Sect, the Pill Sect was the one who did it secretly. This time, it was the sect master of the 7 Fiend Sect. Next time, it will be the sect master of the Pill Sect. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with a cold light. Then, he took a step forward and flew towards the direction of the Ghost Weapon Sect. According to his investigation, there was only one Shikong in the Ghost Weapon Sect. He was the old ancestor of the Ghost Weapon Sect. There were 7 to 8 Du Zhen cultivators and 10 Gui Xian cultivators. Other than them, there were no other cultivators of the second step. Not all of them were cultivators of the Ghost Weapon Sect. Some of them were here to ask for magic treasures to be refined. Ning Fan flew across the lunar calamity sea. With a leap, he landed on the peak of the Devil Mountain in the sea. At this moment, there were 7 second-step cultivators waiting outside the mountain gate of the Ghost Weapon Sect. Among the 7 of them, there were 2 Du Zhen cultivators and 5 Life Immortal Realm cultivators. All of them were cultivators who came here to ask for treasures. With their cultivation bases, it was naturally impossible for them to ask the old ancestor of the ghost weapon sect to personally refine a magic treasure for them. What they were asking for was just the disciple of the old ancestor of the ghost weapon sect, the 14th weapon master. When Ning Fan arrived, the two Duzhen cultivators immediately scanned him with their spirit sense. When they realized that Ning Fan's cultivation base was at the peak ghost profound realm, they shook their heads slightly. The mist in the lunar calamity sea had the effect of isolating spirit sense. Even with the strength of their spirit sense, they were still unable to cover the entire lunar calamity sea with their spirit sense. However, they could still vaguely sense the fluctuations of the battle that came from the direction of the lunar calamity sea just now. When they saw the baleful qi on Ning Fan's body, they guessed that Ning Fan was the one who caused the fluctuations. There's no need to ask. The person who committed the murder in the lunar calamity sea just now is most likely this young man. Doesn't this young man know that the old ancestor of the ghost weapon sect had once strictly forbade any outsider from killing people in the lunar calamity sea? If he violates this rule, the ghost weapon sect will never refine magic treasures for him no matter what. As for the other 5 life immortal realm cultivators, they did not have spirit sense as strong as the 2 Duzhen cultivators. Thus, they did not sense the fluctuations of the battle in the lunar calamity sea just now. Among the 5 life immortal realm cultivators, 4 of them were at the mortal profound realm while only 1 of them was an early ghost profound realm cultivator. As soon as the 5 life immortal realm cultivators sensed the lingering baleful qi on Ning Fan's body, their expressions immediately changed. If they did not sense wrongly, Ning Fan should have just killed a mortal profound realm cultivator. That was why he would leave behind such a fierce baleful qi. These 7-second step cultivators did not know each other. All of them came here to ask the 14th weapon master to refine a magic treasure for them. Ning Fan was the 8th second step cultivator to arrive. As soon as they saw Ning Fan, who obviously carried the baleful qi of someone who had just killed someone, a few disciples of the ghost weapon sect outside the mountain gate immediately walked towards him. Their expressions were unfriendly as they questioned Ning Fan. "Senior, did you kill someone in the lunar calamity sea?" Although they addressed him as senior, they did not show any respect at all. These disciples of the ghost weapon sect were only at the void fragmentation realm. However, they dared to question a second-step cultivator like Ning Fan in a stern tone. Obviously, they were relying on the power of the ghost weapon sect. Ning Fan frowned slightly but still answered them. "I did. Could it be that killing is forbidden in the lunar calamity sea?" "That's right. The old ancestor of the ghost weapon sect has ordered that any cultivator who dares to kill someone in the lunar calamity sea will be regarded as disrespecting the ghost weapon sect. Our ghost weapon sect will never agree to any request of refining a magic treasure. Senior, please leave. Since you've killed someone, you don't have the right to ask our ghost weapon sect to refine a magic treasure for you." When they said those words, the few void fragmentation realm disciples had a hint of arrogance on their faces. It was as if the person standing in front of them was not an old monster of the second step but a junior with a low cultivation base. Ning Fan's frown deepened. Then he raised his hand slightly and took out a token. It was a bronze token. The image of a coffin was engraved on the front of the token. The word Luo was engraved on the northern side of the token. If one imparts a magic seal onto the token, they could also check the name of the owner and the amount of time he spent guarding the tomb. This person is actually the tomb guardian of the Battle King Luo clan. The 7 life immortal realm cultivators, including the 2 Duzhen cultivators, wore a surprised expression. When they looked at Ning Fan again, their eyes were filled with the intention to befriend him. As soon as the few void fragmentation realm disciples saw the token, they were also shocked. The arrogance on their faces disappeared and they immediately cupped their fists at Ning Fan. "Senior, please forgive us. We didn't know that Senior is the tomb guardian of the Luo clan. Please forgive us for our impoliteness." The reason why they dared to question Ning Fan with their void fragmentation realm cultivation base was because of the power of the ghost weapon sect. However, compared to the Battle King Luo clan, The ghost weapon sect seemed slightly insignificant. In particular, the old ancestor of the ghost weapon sect had given an order that if they see the tomb guardian of the Luo clan, they must treat him as a distinguished guest. With this order, they would not dare to neglect Ning Fan. I'm here to ask the old ancestor of the ghost weapon sect to help me refine a magic treasure. I wonder if you can lead me to your sect's old ancestor? Ning Fan kept the tomb guardian token and asked indifferently. With his cultivation base, he naturally would not stoop to the level of a few juniors. Senior, you've come at a bad time. 8 years ago, the old ancestor has been waiting for Senior's arrival. However, Senior didn't come for a long time. Hence, the old ancestor went into seclusion temporarily to refine another magic treasure. He hasn't come out of seclusion yet. No one knows when the old ancestor will come out. The few Void Fragmentation Realm disciples answered respectfully. Is that so? It's my fault. I came late. If that's the case, I'll come and refine the devil armor next time. Ning Fan shook his head and turned to leave. Since I can't refine the devil armor for the time being, I'll go to the divine tomb to have a look first. Now that I'm already a tomb guardian, I have the right to enter the lowest level of the divine tomb. The few Void Fragmentation Realm disciples naturally did not dare to stop Ning Fan from leaving. As for the other 7 second step cultivators, they originally wanted to get close to Ning Fan. However, when they saw that he was in a hurry and seemed to be in a hurry to leave, they naturally did not forcefully stop him for a chat. Just as Ning Fan turned around and was about to leave, a cold voice resounded from within the ghost weapon sect. At the next moment, 14 rays of light soared into the sky and landed on the ground. They turned into 14 human figures and blocked Ning Fan's path. Wait, you can't leave yet? Among the 14 people, one of them immediately took a step forward and said to Ning Fan in a cold and harsh tone. It was a burly man in green robes. His cultivation base was at the peak ghost profound realm. His body was fully covered in spirit armor. We, the disciples who guard the mountain, greet the 14 military masters. As soon as the few disciples who were guarding the mountain saw the 14 military masters approaching, they immediately greeted them. The expressions of the other 7 second step cultivators who came here to seek treasures also changed when they saw the 14 military masters standing in front of Ning Fan. With their eyesight, they could naturally tell that the 14 military masters did not come with good intentions. The way they looked at Ning Fan was filled with hostility. The 14 military masters of the ghost weapon sect, huh? Ning Fan frowned and his gaze swept across the 14 cultivators in front of him. Among the 14 people, there were 3 late ghost profound realm cultivators, 7 peak ghost profound realm cultivators, and 4 early crossing true realm cultivators. The burly man in green robes who came earlier was the 8th-ranked military master in the ghost weapon sect. The way he looked at Ning Fan was filled with hostility. The other military masters also quietly spread out, blocking all of Ning Fan's escape routes. Everyone with such a lineup, do you want to spar with me? Ning Fan asked in a deep voice. After all, he came to the ghost weapon sect to ask for a magic treasure. According to Luo Shi, the old ancestor of the ghost weapon sect had a friendly relationship with the Luo clan. Considering this friendship, as long as the ghost weapon sect did not go overboard in their actions, Ning Fan would not be too calculative with them. Humph! I don't have time to spar with you. Tell me, the sect master of the 7 evil spirits sect was killed by you. If this is really your doing, even if you are a member of the Battle King Luo clan, I will not let you leave the ghost weapon sect today. So what if I am? Ning Fan said coldly. Good. Sure enough, you are the one who killed them. Since that's the case, you will stay here today. The burly man in green robes snorted coldly. He raised his hand and a silver rope appeared in his hand, trying to tie Ning Fan up. As soon as the rope soared into the sky, it immediately turned into a ray of silver lightning and flung at Ning Fan. They are tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.